Oh, the weather outside is frightful, and the fire so delightful. I'm still in a Christmas Carol mood.
Oh yeah. Well, it was just yesterday, so we're good. It's
It's true. It's true.
it's a,
It was awfully nice of us to wait until the day after the celebrations to, declare war on Christmas.
that's the way to do it. Is wait till the war's over and then put up your war flag. It's like,
Absolutely. How was your holiday, Brentley?
that was great. Yeah, just kind of hung out. Wasn't just kind of one of those chill days. Wasn't we had a lot of us had so much going on that it was hard to try to do any kind of family stuff. So we just sort of took it easy this year. Just kind of hung out.
Yeah,
How about you?
yeah. Oh, pretty cool. I got to hang out with the kids on Christmas Eve. My oldest made me an earring. It's
Oh, you're
literally an ear.
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That
It's
is
a purple star, and
that is
because
awesome.
purple is the best color.
I mean, objectively, it is. I mean, but
Mhm.
that's awesome. Damn. Like have that
Yeah.
hanging down. Yeah, you're gonna have to wear that at like a job interview, probably. Like that would be the place to do that.
Oh, sure, sure. I actually was wearing it. I was on Purple Rhymes with Orange's Christmas Marathon, the 48 hours of constant live streams handing it off from
Holy
creator to creator. And I was
wow.
wearing it during that stream. Well, my contribution to that stream on other people's streams, because once I put my headset on, it's even though it loops over the ear, it's tricky. I'd have to take my
Oh.
headset off, and
It's like it's a whole thing. It's
yes, exactly. Being this fabulous isn't easy.
it's tough. The price of fabulousness is pain
For
usually, actually
sure,
pain.
for sure.
Uh, but
Yeah, yeah. We're still working on it, but it's going
that's
pretty
right.
well. All
All
right.
right.
So we're multi-streaming, which is why
Yeah.
y'all are seeing both of us.
That's
We're
right.
we're on both of our YouTubes, both of our Twitches, and for the first time we're streaming to whatever the fuck Twitter's called now. That
Yeah.
could
I
be
don't know.
fun. Who knows?
It's like I think it's Cross. It's called Cross now, or it's not. I don't know. It's whatever.
Sure. Yeah. That rings a bell. Yeah.
It's, oh Jesus, how weird.
Yeah. So we've been talking about doing another get together for a while, and we've had a bunch of fun ideas, like the history of Vlad the Impaler, and shoot, there have been a couple others.
Yeah, the
But of
czar.
course, we decided to do something completely different today, as
Okay.
one does. And yeah, we're gonna look into the Christians who have a problem with Christmas.
I love that too. And that is it's beautiful. Like you can't nobody here's the thing. Nobody can do anything for these people because they're gonna get mad no matter what, you know? It's like
Mhm.
anytime there's movies made, even like if a movie doesn't mention Jesus, they get mad. If a movie does mention Jesus, they didn't do it right, they get mad. Like it's you can't please these people, It's like just stop trying, you know?
It's true. It's true. It's only my flavor of Christianity is correct. Only do what I say. Never mind what the book says. I'm the infallible one. It's
Yeah.
it's so trippy too because I don't know a single atheist, agnostic, other flavor of religious person who has a problem with Christmas. Many of us celebrate it. I celebrate secular Christmas. I call it Yule, but that's because I like the pagans better than the Christians. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, Yule is cool. I mean, it literally rhymes with cool. That's how cool it
It's
is,
true.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's just fun too because it's like, isn't that the Odin one? Isn't that where Odin is Santa Claus or something? I get so
all
lost in
all
these.
these
So
big bearded guys in the sky who can keep them all straight.
I know they all, and yeah, they look the same. They probably ho ho alike. I don't know. It's just too much.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I love Christmas, honestly. It's I like the everybody deciding to be happy. I think that's pretty cool. I think it kind of sucks for some people where they're like, "Look, dude, I'm just not going to be able to be happy because of the stuff that's happening in my life." But like,
Hmm.
like generally speaking, a time of year for everybody to be like, "Hey, this is a fun time to have fun," and that's it. That's what it means, as far as I can tell. I think that's a good thing, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good things about the period. I mean, I think there should be a festival of lights in the middle of the winter. That's when you put one, when the nights are long and you can enjoy the lights more.
Oh yeah,
It's, you know, uh, caring about other people, being reminded to do that, togetherness. A little ishy on the obligatory gift giving. Gifts are nice,
Yeah.
but when someone has to give you a gift, you have to wonder, did they really mean it? But, you know.
Yeah, and I don't the other thing that kinda irritates me about it is and this is just with any kind of holiday stuff, just the expectations, you know what I mean? Like, people are like, "Hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you come here to do that? And why didn't you" and I'm always just like, "Look, I don't answer questions that weren't asked." You know? So, just expecting me to do stuff is no, don't do that, you know? Like, you have to invite me to stuff. Don't just wonder why I didn't just show up, okay?
Right?
Like, you know?
Psychic powers.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, that's the way, people think about these traditions. It's like everybody does the same thing to some people, and it's like that's not how it works. Not all of us, go to our families or whatever. We have our
Oh,
own.
yeah.
You know,
Even the minor stuff. I was shocked, I tell you, to learn that some people have ham for Christmas.
what?
Clearly, the scriptures say thou must have turkey.
Right. Oh, you're a turkey one. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's see, that's my that was a Thanksgiving thing, right? But then the ham was the Christmas. Like I thought that was you can have turkey too. How that's way too close.
Yeah,
That was like
both
3 weeks ago.
both eating holidays. They're both turkey. Yeah.
They're both turkey, really?
hmm
Wow, that is
Turkey
so
turkey
interesting.
gets all the things. Yeah.
Wow,
I
okay,
mean, you have pumpkin
fascinating.
pie at both. Why wouldn't you have turkey at both? Mm.
Well, okay, alright, I guess you're right, we do have pumpkin. It's usually more apple, I thought, for Christmas. I don't know, but,
Ah.
it's maybe
See, traditions vary.
see,
Now
yeah,
we're gonna have to have a holy war over which dessert to have after
my
the holiday we don't even participate.
yours is blasphemous, by the way, I just wanna let you know that
I mean, that's fair. I've been accused of heresy on nearly every show I've been on.
so heretical. God, I love that word heretical now, like, I will use that forever.
Fantastic. All right, so we've got a bunch of fun friends to look through. Um, what say we dig in?
Let's do
Um,
it.
yeah, like apple pie.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so our first new friend here. Um, I'm actually not sure where the hell I found this. My computer crashed right before we went live, and I lost all my sources. I was just able to get the videos back up, so I'm not sure where he's from.
Oh, damn,
But
no, I'm
we'll see. It'll be fun.
oh, yeah.
The representation of the Christmas tree concerning astrology. We're dealing with the astrology of
The
the event of the
astrology.
winter solstice. We're dealing with the
What?
event
Astrology.
where Cyrus or Sirius, the star, right, is being followed by three kings. Okay, and you see this in Orion's belt, where Orion's belt is in line.
Hold on.
Ori
So
Ori it's
he's saying
not the cookie, the other one, or that's Oreo. That is Orion. Just saying it
so.
weird. It's Orion, right?
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
crazy?
yeah. I mean, maybe he's trying to like aim for Orient.
Ah,
Like it's I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But he says Sirius is followed by the three kings, and there happen to be three stars in Orion's belt, which is the next brightest constellation over from Sirius. But
hmm.
Orion's belt goes first, and Sirius is behind it. At least the
Oh,
way the Earth orbits and the constellations go across this.
huh. Okay.
Maybe this man's moving backwards through time. I don't know.
Right? Hey, I mean, their thinking is always backwards, so that kinda makes a little bit of sense. Jesus, that's funny. So, but, like,
Wow.
because of the 3 stars of Orion's belt, like, he thinks that that's somehow confirmation of the story of the 3 kings or whatever?
Well, I mean, if you call those the three kings, and I mean, they never actually meet up with Sirius, right? Like, two
Right.
of the stars in Orion's belt are going in the other direction. One of them is heading generally towards Sirius, but it's never going to get anywhere close to it. And that's like 50,000 years before we'll even see a noticeable difference in the stars' locations. So,
Oh, god.
what are we doing here? Like, are you trying to say Sirius is Jesus? Because the three kings are never going to get there.
They're gonna be off on their own for a while there. It's Jesus,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
With
Uh,
Sirius, and the sun enters through the Southern Cross or the Crux, and the sun.
The Southern Cross,
What?
which is a different constellation that's only visible in the southern hemisphere, and Orion, which is only visible in the northern hemisphere. What?
Wow, he's literally just making stuff. He's just making stuff up. That's what this.
He's a theist making stuff up?
I don't know why I even said it. That should just be an assumption heading in.
I know. Yes, Orion's waistline is expanding. He had too much turkey.
That's it. That's awesome.
The mighty hunter comes back with a big ol' lamb. Honey, it was 69 cents a pound at Walmart. Oh,
That's 2 for 1 at Publix.
Sun stands still there for 3 days, and after 3 days, the sun moves on to going forth to the spring equinox.
What?
So the sun crosses the Southern Cross and then holds still for 3 days. I don't think so. I don't think even the Bible says the sun has at one passage where the Bible has at one passage where the sun stands still, but that's for like 3 hours, not 3 days. I don't think that would work. I think that would kill all life on Earth.
I was gonna say that we would just not exist if that happened. Like for 3 fucking days. I mean, just for not like doesn't even have to be 3 days, right? Like it could just be like a couple hours and we'd be fucked, right?
I guess it depends on like yeah, I'm not sure. Like in the summer, I think we could probably take a couple extra hours of heat, but it would get pretty hot on the sun side and pretty chilly on the night side. But I don't know. We'd have to do some math to figure out at what point we get, lethal doses of insolation on one side and how long we could last on the other. That's
Well, I mean, but I'm still confused. Like, what is the point that he's trying to make? Like, he's saying the astrology of Christmas, right? But and then is he drawing all these like connections to the Christmas story? Is that what this is supposed to be? I'm so confused. It's like,
yeah, he's literally playing connect the dots as one does with constellations.
right.
Oh my goodness. So I think what he's trying to say is that Sirius is like the Star of Bethlehem, and the 3 kings, which are apparently Orion's belt and not the rest of Orion, are heading towards it, even though they're not.
Okay.
And then the sun rises like Jesus or something.
Oh my
I don't know.
God, what the hell? This is such a weird, what a weird thing to be like, you know what I'm going to do with my time? Let's sort of go draw all these weird, nonsensical connections to the Christmas story using the fucking stars. That'll prove my thing, I guess, Wow.
Yeah, this is it's flat Earth style thinking. Like there's a thing, therefore there's another thing. Like I've never seen the moon, so there must be a dome, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It's all connected, type of shit. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is described as the resurrection or the rebirth of the Son of God. Okay, so when you look throughout.
Well, okay, that one's actually not too far off. There have been philosophers across the ages who've tried to make a connection between the resurrection of the Son and the return of a god. We see it in paganism with the old god dying and the new god rising. We see it in the legend of Dionysus. He was born on December 25th and he rose from the dead. And there's a bunch of others where the sun coming back is the god is returning. So that's not a new thing, but it's also not a thing that's specifically about Christianity.
Right. Because that makes sense to attribute that to a god before we knew anything that we're talking about at all. Like the sun coming up the next day is pretty cool. I think, to the people back then, they're like, this is great. I'm glad that happened again.
Oh yeah. My grandmother used to say, and she tried to get me into Christianity and it never worked out because I was one of those annoying kids who kept asking questions in church. and then was
Yeah.
asked not to come back. But she used to say that the sun rising every day is proof of the resurrection because the sun rose like Jesus rose.
Oh my God! Wow! That's the proof. That is proof to it. Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
I'm
wow.
convinced.
All right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I mean, I don't want to say bad things about my grandma. She
No.
was great. It's just that's what we're talking about here.
That's just way up. Like I don't even know what proof means. Then you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's
What-
it's look at the trees. Yeah, the trees are
Yeah.
pretty. The trees are fucking amazing.
they're pretty
But
cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's not signed made by Odin anywhere on it. So
Yeah, that's the problem.
yeah.
Throughout different traditions of different cultures, there is always a story concerning the winter solstice and the regeneration and the rebirth and resurrection of this particular energy that is being produced in this particular.
What happens in the southern hemisphere? When it's our winter solstice, it's their summer solstice. So is that like the assassination of the sun? Like we get a resurrection and they get a
That's
deathbed
Easter,
thing, or
Yeah,
What's
that's what he gets
going on?
married.
What's going on?
That's right. That's funny.
Chris Moore says, Dr. Francesca. Let's
What
go with that.
Fuck. What word is okay?
Direcopulo. I hope I got that close. God Anatomy. I don't know what that is, but I saw shameless plug, so I figured I just go for it.
Hell yeah.
It's something to look into later. Yeah.
I am frozen. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if I was frozen or not. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think your video's stuck.
Damn. All
We broke our Brentley, folks.
I wonder if I could. Should I just like back out and try to come back in? Or?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
We'll do a little reset.
1 sec. Yeah. Let me see if we can.
Live broadcasting, folks. There's always technical difficulties. Usually it's me that's frozen. Okay, now while Brentley's gone, we can talk bad about him. No, I love Brentley. He has a great hat. There's that. But also, this dude, he is, I don't know. I do my best, but I feel like I'm never going to be as funny as Brentley is. He's just a trip. Anybody watching on my side of the stream, you should definitely go subscribe to Punk Apostate, because he does live streams and they're hilarious, and he interacts with the comments, and that's hilarious, and it's really, I try to go whenever I can. It's really amusing stuff. And while we're still vamping for time while Brentley resets, if you're watching on Brentley's side, come subscribe to me over at Better Than Ember, because while I'm not as funny as Brentley, I do get into some deeper depths of things whenever possible. Science, historical stuff, things like that. Some of the topics we're going to be covering later on, a couple of the videos, some of the bigger name apologists that we have to address, they make some claims, and we're going to debunk them, and it'll be a good time. But, we get into all kinds of things, all sorts of mischief. And I'm surprised that Brentley is still not back yet. I think we really did break him, folks. Atheism, actually, yeah, it's good music. I'm hoping we don't get a copyright strike for that, because it's probably owned by someone. But I don't know. Maybe it's enough of a cover. I don't know. Hey,
There we go. All right.
he is risen.
Sorry about that.
Behold.
Yeah, things get stuck sometimes.
Oh, PC. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just informed this morning that Paula Gia came out with a list of creators to go check out for 2023. I made the list. Our friend Eric at Skeptic and Scoundrels made the list. Kentucky Atheist. There's a bunch of cool people. I shared it on the community page over on my channel if you want to go check it out. And I'm thinking it might be another time to do another Skeptic World video, because there's a lot of names I don't know. So, maybe we'll go meet some new friends together. That could be fun.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, those videos
Oh, yeah,
you do look
Stacy.
very helpful. To let it,
Mhm.
letting everybody know where, who's out there. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I met some new friends doing Purple's Christmas stream. There were a few channels I had never heard of before on there that we cycled through, and I'm like, who is this person? One person off the top of my head who really, really impressed me was almost a doctor. He doesn't address religion at all. He stays strictly on science. But it's always good to meet a new science friend, and he's got that teacher vibe, right? He can explain almost anything in a very understandable way, and he's cool. His name's Matt, by the way.
Matt,
It took me a
cool.
minute to get that far. Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I'll check that out.
All right, enough detouring. Let's we have 4 seconds. Let's see if he lands a point.
Doubtful.
Particular time and event in our lifetime.
Nope.
No, that's not a good point. Nope. That's not-
It was a nice try.
yeah.
I mean, you do what you can.
I mean,
You
I don't think
gotta.
did he make a point the whole time? I don't. It's like, did he make a point there?
It was something. Look at the stars.
Yeah. It's like
I
these
mean, you
shapes.
should look at the stars. They're pretty.
It reminds me of those people that like the 3 6s in Disney and stuff. Like, if you flip this one around, if you turn this one backwards, and it's like, well, the symbols aren't the symbols anymore, man. Like, here's how symbols work. Okay, they have to be the same direction and shape as they are. You can't be flipping them upside down because then they're no longer that symbol. But they're like finding all the the stuff and the symbols that they rearranged.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, sometimes you invert symbols to reverse the meaning. Like the peace sign is the Norse rune for the war sign, just turned upside down because that's the
right.
point. Like war rune, peace rune, etc. All that.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that always amused me when I was studying paganist stuff, and I was going through the runes of the Elder Futhark, and I'm like, huh, that looks an awful lot like the peace sign. Oh, it's the war sign upside down. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Huh. That is fascinating. I always used to think it was an upside down broken cross.
A lot of
Did you ever-
people say that. It's
It's like,
yeah,
wow, way to make peace a bad thing. But there
right.
needs your symbol though, your torture device symbol, by the way, too. Probably should be broken, right? It's a torture device. Like, we shouldn't have those. Those should be broken and nowhere. That's what that should be.
I
But
know. You'd think that'd be what Jesus would like to see if he ever came back. He'd be like, all these people with their torture devices. I'm going with these guys who have the broken one. They're like, end the torture and whatnot.
yeah, I know. It's like, I feel like the people that put crosses all over everything in order to honor Jesus is, Jesus is going to come back and be like, I feel like you guys didn't hear the story right or something. Like, why would you think I would want to see this? You get that they
Yeah.
killed me, right? That's
I think that's why Jesus hasn't come back. Is he sees all these crosses and he's like, nope, they killed me once.
not gonna
I'm
get
not doing
me.
it. No. They make a ritual out of eating my body every Sunday. No.
It's like, really, that was a mistranslation.
They can go fuck themselves.
That's so funny.
Fucking cannibals.
Jeez, how weird. What? God. But trans people are weird though, right? God. So stupid.
I mean,
So fucking stupid.
you can be trans and weird. Why not?
I mean, yeah. But I feel like you can't say anything's weird if you're there pretending to eat an undead carpenter ghost that you call out that you're eating his flesh, and you're like, "Here, kids, drink up the blood." Like, you don't get to say anything's weird ever. Like, that's just nope.
A bit of reach.
Yeah.
All right, let's see
I
what
love this guy. This guy is so
yeah,
funny.
yeah, Mr. Red Pen, Mr. B. This should be a trip.
That Christians have been stitching my last video because they all stitch the exact same part where I say Jesus wasn't born on Christmas, and then they all say the exact same thing. We know that Jesus wasn't born on Christmas. Way to teach us something new, atheist. It was a pagan holiday, and now we observe it as Jesus' birthday because we have taken over. We have conquered the pagan holiday. That Christians have been stitching my last video because
I meant to pause him and I restarted him. What? That's an interesting way to put it, because the whole conquering thing, right? One of the many reasons that Christmas got put on the 25th was because the Romans had that holiday, Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, and then the Christians are like, "Whoops, conquered it. What up?"
Okay. So it was like a little, well, we're going to put that on that day too, kind of thing, almost like when you're doing a movie premiere and there's like another movie that's similar to yours, and you're like, I'm going to put it on the same fucking date. And then everybody will come to my movie and not theirs. Or your party, if you have a party, right? And it's on the same day that that the person you don't like at the office is also having their party, and you're like, everybody has to come to mine.
Yeah.
So passive aggressive.
I know. There used to be magicians. I think they set up in London where they had like competing magic acts across the street from each other. I can't remember. But it was just they just kept. In some ways, it was like a frenemy sort of situation. Like they kept pushing each other to do bigger and better tricks, but at the same time, they kept hurting each other's business.
Wow, that's funny. Well, it's tough in the magic business. A lot of competition. You don't.
It's true. I mean, even in Jesus's time, there were a bunch of charlatans running around producing loaves and fishes and walking on water and shit. There's always competition.
That's right.
To do that, see, your book in Deuteronomy 12:31 through 32 says that you are not allowed to take pagan holidays and then repackage them as gods.
Deuteronomy, what did she say? 20?
Shit, what was
20,
it?
20, fuck. I do have this one pulled up, but I forgot what verse she said. Let's scroll back a second.
You are not allowed to take pagan holidays. See, your book in Deuteronomy 12:31 through 32 says
12:31 through 32. Okay. Yes, that's what I have pulled up. Hooray. That says, you must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to the gods. 32 is, see that you do all I command you. Do not add to it or take away from it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's a fun one. I recognize similar verbiage from the end of Revelation, right? He who adds anything to these books after this, because I'm the final prophet, will have all the plagues added onto him. Any who takes away will have salvation taken away from him. This is just don't add to or take away from it. It's like the same sort of thing. It's like, this is the end of the law. Don't add any more. And yet Deuteronomy is like the third book.
Yeah.
Out of 66.
I was going to say, because there's like Old Testament. I feel like there's a few Old Testament verses that are like, don't take anything away or add anything. And Christians fucking did both. They went back and they're like, all right, we're going to just take this Maccabee stuff out. That doesn't make sense. But let's add in a whole New Testament,
Yep. Yeah, Paul's letter. Okay, yeah, 7 of the 13 are total forgeries. Put them in anyway. I'm sure it's fine.
It'll be all right. We need to get to that 90-minute runtime. It's just
Mel Gibson needs to make a movie someday.
That's right.
But that first part, 31, I don't know why 32 got mentioned. Whatever. Oh, but the first part, you must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do detestable things. Like that. It's a bit of a reach to me to say don't celebrate holidays on the same day as someone else has a holiday.
Yeah, I don't know as if the day is what they're talking about there. It would seem to be more like, the sacrificing people or whatever, seemed to be what the Bible seemed to have a problem with,
Yeah, which is also kind of sus. Like, I don't have conclusive data on it, but as you know, I've been hanging out with Bible scholars here and there when I can. There's some indication that the early Israelites, just like everybody else in the land of Canaan, did child sacrifice. There were some versions of the Yahweh cult that did child sacrifice.
Wow.
So,
oops, it's not that far away from what the animal stuff, and then eventually Jesus. So it's like, it's honestly not far away from their the belief system as it is, as far as I could tell.
Oh yeah, I mean, the story of Abraham itself It's literally about child sacrifice.
Oh,
And
that's a
yes, the
great.
story says that an angel stopped him or whatever. I have no evidence for this, but I personally feel that was whitewashed after the fact, that originally Abraham did sacrifice his son, but that's neither here nor there. That's not the only instance. There's that general who promises God he will sacrifice the first family member he sees if only he wins the next battle.
Oh,
He wins
right.
the battle, he goes home, and his daughter comes out of the house first. So he sacrifices his daughter. And then,
What an evil.
literally, the story of Jesus
Yeah, exactly.
sacrificing his own son.
That's right. Yeah. Huh.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not, this is definitely a concept that is throughout. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, God's breaking his own laws again.
As usual.
Damn it, Yahweh.
Is that you are not allowed to take pagan holidays and then repackage them as gods. Also, the only people that celebrated birthdays in the Bible were the bad guys. That's why there's no specific date given for Jesus' birth, because it's not supposed to be observed. So, way to prove to me that you are even more biblically illiterate. Sit down. You are out of your league.
Let's assume for the sake of argument that some of the Christmas traditions.
He's so cute with the way he just pulls his red pen out like he's getting ready to make corrections like a teacher, but he never does anything with it. He just holds it.
He's got it though. It's so funny because I you know that he had like one of those moments where he's like telling his friends, he's like, red pen logic. Now check it out. I got a cup, red pen in the cup. Okay. Whenever they say something, I take the pen out of the cup. This is brilliant. This is awesome. And then I say my thing, put the pen back in the cup. That's the end of the video. What do you guys think? And they're all like, wow, man, blown away. I'm blown away right now. That is incredible. He's like, God, I knew it. You know, that's what I get from this guy. That screenwriting moment.
Yeah. All right, let's see. I have more to say about what the lady said, but I'm pretty sure he addresses it, so we'll deal with it then.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say.
We celebrate have some past pagan roots. Would that make Christmas off limits for Christians? This woman seems to think so, and she offers two reasons. First, she cites Deuteronomy 12, 31, and 32. But this passage is about taking certain abominable acts of worship to a false god, like child sacrifice, and performing those same immoral acts of worship to the true God. Is that what Christians are doing at Christmas? Are we decorating trees and giving gifts and kissing under the mistletoe as an act of worship to our God?
Well, I mean,
Kinda.
yeah, like nobody says I'm kissing you under the mistletoe for the glory of Yahweh, but you only do it as part of the celebration that's linked to the religion. So
Yeah. And I swear there's a verse too that says like don't decorate trees or something, right? I don't know. I feel like that was in there.
there might be. There might
I'd
be.
be mistaken, but yeah, yeah, no, you're right. That's interesting.
It's a little trippy. I gotta do.
The yeah.
Oh shoot. Was okay. I'm trying to follow something in the chat, and I saw Maya said she had to go cry. This isn't it, but apparently something cool happened, and now I'm trying to figure out what it was. Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, "Oh, Maya, what's the matter?" I'm like, yeah. Okay, so I think it goes to pragmatic sharing this playlist. So I'm going to click on that link and see where it goes. Because I trust the PC. Okay, yeah, this is Apologia's year-end list thingamabig.
Oh.
Hey, yeah, Bad Science Sunday right there.
Oh,
Stacey's
nice.
Mom podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I meant to go through the list more thoroughly later, and I will. But yeah, there's Nara's on there too. Yeah, I didn't even realize. I only glanced at it briefly because I had the idea to go do a video. So yeah, my bad for not enough thoroughness, but yeah, excellent.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Bad Science Sunday is one of the best things on YouTube. I freaking love it.
Hell yeah. Enjoy the hell out of that one.
Yeah. Good stuff. Cool. And somebody said, did I look great? Thank you.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, I try. I want to, I wore my trans flag dress yesterday, so I wanted to be like shiny for the war on Christmas. So yeah, shiny dress. Shiny.
Nice
It's
and
purple
decorative.
actually. Yeah,
Oh,
you can't
nice.
tell because of the shininess, but the base color is purple.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We match then. We kind of match, you know. That's
Yeah. I mean, cool hats.
that's in that too, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause they got the yeah.
I do need hats that fit my wardrobe better, but I mean, this fits underneath my headphones, so it'll do for now. Yeah.
You seem like a bow or something, you know, and then it'll be set.
Aunt Jer suggested that I look into fascinators. I did look. They're fascinating. Some of them are very pretty, but I'm not sure that they'd fit under my headphones.
Oh,
Yeah.
fascinators.
Ember has a dress for every war. I only have 3 dresses so far. I'm very poor. I'm still working on it. If you want to help me be less poor, ways you can support the channel are in the description. At least on my side. If you want to help Brentley be less poor, Cash App, hashtag Punkapostate. Do I have that right?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Hashtag Punkapostate or patreon.com/Punkapostate. Yeah.
Yay, we got our plugs in. Go us.
Right? Yeah. It's
Of
perfect.
course not. My decorated tree has as much religious significance to me as my decorated bookshelf behind me. Simply put, these are Christmas traditions, not religious ceremonies. And that's an important
What?
Right, they're Christmas traditions, though, Tim. They're not everyday traditions. They're traditions specifically for Christmas. And what is it people keep saying? Like, put the Christ in Christmas or something like that?
Yeah, it's like he's like drawing a line between tradition and ritual, as if those things can't like overlap a lot. You know, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, like you could say, I go to church, I sing the hymns, I eat the cracker, I drink the grape juice or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know, I'm not Catholic. But these aren't acts of worship, they're just traditions.
Right. You could easily do that. And it's like but okay, we're just equivocating here what the
Yeah.
definitions are.
important distinction. Paul's teaching on eating meat sacrificed to idols is relevant here. Some Christians were worried about eating meat sacrificed to pagan idols because that would be an act of pagan idol worship.
Hold on. So Christianity comes from the ancient Israelites, the old Hebrews. They couldn't eat meat that was sacrificed to Yahweh either. It wasn't about who it was sacrificed to. You don't eat a sacrifice because that will piss off that god.
Oh, because it's been sacrificed.
Yeah.
The god's like, hold on, I'm gonna eat that. Like, just no, I didn't say that you could. Come on, man. Like, just taking food off my plate. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yahweh mentioned several times, my name is jealousy and all this and that. And there's huge chapters that we covered over on Aaron's channel. We're reading through the Bible chapter by chapter with biblical experts and whatnot. And they go on and on and on about the specific way sacrifices are to be carried out and so forth. And many of them have to be burned up entirely because that's an aroma pleasing unto the Lord or something.
The fried to death food, like
Yeah.
crisp food, smells great. They love that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. These guys are the double standards. They bug me.
But Paul says there's no power in the object itself. So the mere act of eating pagan meat isn't an act of pagan worship. Likewise, the mere act of decorating a pagan tree isn't an act of pagan worship either.
But there's things that are prohibited for other reasons too. Like, shellfish aren't pagan in nature, but the Bible declares them unclean in a different passage. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like we're splitting. He's like splitting hairs here, like because they have to. He has to try to split the hairs here to find the distinction because it's so murky and like what she's saying could easily be true because if you rationalize around it enough, and that's like all these people are doing anyway. So a lot of it just ends up being, I'm just gonna make the context what I'd like the context to be, so that my point is made.
I feel like we should get Tim a Christmas present that says, "Keep calm. I'm an excuseologist."
Yeah, there you go. I make stuff up. Keep
Yeah.
calm and make stuff up.
Reggie points out the creator he's responding to is Biddy Buddha.
Bitty Buddha. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm not super active on TikTok. I actually I haven't posted anything there in ages, so I have no idea what's going on. Spooky is haunting your chat. The one and only actual demonstrable Holy Ghost.
That's right. Yeah, that one. It's a real one.
Yeah,
Like these fakers.
I know. I mean, when you talk to Spooky, sometimes Spooky answers, which is more than you can be said for any of the imaginary beings.
Yeah, they don't. They don't.
But if you're not convinced, don't do it. Second, she says celebrating birthdays is wrong because the only people who celebrated birthdays were the bad guys. This commits the guilt by association fallacy. Here's how it works. You discredit something based on its association to an undesirable person or group. For example, Hitler drove a car, so driving a car is bad.
Is it a fallacy? How? I mean, okay.
It's an informal fallacy, but it is a fallacy. It's like Hitler was an advocate of gun control. That happens to be factually true. Therefore, anyone who's an advocate of gun control is a literal Nazi. Like, we see this all the time in the public discourse, and it's nonsense.
Okay.
So he's not wrong about that, but his point about saying because the birthdays were the bad guys, that's what makes birthdays bad. That's not what makes the birthdays bad. There was a long-standing church tradition that martyrs' deaths should be celebrated, not their births, because it's the death that matters. That's the moment when they gave up their lives for the glory of God or to save other Christians or whatever their big sacrifice was. That's why there's so many saints' days are the days those saints were martyred on the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox calendars. And that's why Jesus' birthday isn't celebrated, because it was the day he died and then rose again. I mean, even Jesus vaguely alludes to this with this whole concept of you must be born again in Matthew.
Right.
Your original birth doesn't matter. It's being born again that matters. So,
Right.
yeah, within the custom of the church, it's not that birthdays are evil, it's that birthdays are fucking irrelevant.
Gotcha. But I have heard that it's bad because like all the bad what she's talking about there is a Jehovah's Witness thing, right? That's what I've always heard it in the context of. Is like
Yeah,
birthdays are
Jehovah's
bad.
Witnesses have a different idea. Their thing is birthdays, like many things, take attention away from Jehovah and are therefore sinful.
Okay. Yeah. Even the birth of Jesus takes focus away from Jesus. That's so funny.
Sure. we
They can't
we need Eric. Somebody call a Jehovah's Witness. I have questions.
It's so funny. Yeah, I heard Owen said that the other day. He was like, because he was saying that it was because every single time that it's mentioned, like she just said, that it was always a bad guy or something. That was what he said. I don't know. I was never a Jehovah's Witness. I always thought the birthday thing was funny though.
I feel bad for him. I mean, first of all, it's a cult, and how much does it suck to grow up in a cult? But on top of that, you can't even have birthdays. And I mean, I've seen a couple of the Caleb and Sophia videos. Owen shares them on his channel from time to time, but also I've looked into a few myself. There's one where Sophia gets told that because another classmate has two mommies, it's her duty as her friend's friend to tell her that her mommies need to get divorced because Jehovah said so, and it'll bring greater happiness somehow.
Don't do that. Oh man.
I'm like, the shit to put that on a kid? What the fuck, man?
So you're gonna have a bunch of fucking kids like showing up and be like, that you guys need to get to, like I saw in a cartoon that I got to tell you guys, like just so you know, like we don't even who is this kid again? We're at a McDonald's, son. Can you just
yeah, sir? This is a Wendy's.
Yeah, there you go. Jeez.
It's so fucked. It's fucked up that people do it in the first place, and then to tell their children that it's their duty to do it. Yeah, so I feel really bad for kids who had to grow up Jehovah's Witness because they didn't choose any of that, and it's so much crap.
Yeah, poor things.
Yar.
See, the Bible describes 2 birthdays, one for Pharaoh, one for Herod. And in both cases, they do something evil. But this does not mean birthdays are evil. It means Pharaoh and Herod are evil. Ultimately, Christmas is about celebrate an event. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, glory as the only Son from the Father.
Wait. I've heard this "the Word became flesh" thing before, and maybe there's a Bible passage about it that I just haven't gotten to yet. But it's a weird idea, right? Like it's a one of those retcon things where they say, "Oh, Jesus was always with the Father," because it says in the beginning there was the Word was with the Father. So Jesus is somehow also a word. But whatever, never mind all that. The way Tim phrased that, "the Word became flesh," I've heard that before, but in the context, it just turned a gear in my head. If Jesus is the Word and he became flesh and then he stopped being flesh and now we have these books that people call the Word of God, did Jesus turn into a fucking book? Is that why he isn't back? Is that why he's late? Because they made him into a book?
He's stuck in the book, man. He's like that Harry Potter scene, except that he never gets back out when he's talking to the riddle dude. Yeah.
Oh, you know what we should do? If you want Jesus to come back, if Jesus is trapped in the damn book, you have to have a book burning. Because turning shit into smoke is the only way to get it to God, right?
Oh, that's right. That's how they change form. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
so we have to burn all the Bibles.
All the-
That's the only way to get Jesus to come back. We have to free him from book form.
That's it. Yeah. Jesus. And it's funny. Yeah, I remember that verse too. I think was it First John? Where he's talking about the Word, was with God and the Word was God. And, and then like the next verse, it was like the Word became put on flesh and then came and dwelt among us and the people killed him, whatever, but it is, like you said, I think like a retcon of everything. But it was so funny because I remember one of the like the way that they kind of evaluated that was, I used to hear them say that most of us like convey our love for other people with our words, and God conveyed his love for humans with Jesus, so that's why they called him. It's like, okay, sure, man.
Why not? Why
Wow.
not?
It's like,
I mean, it makes as much sense as anything else people say.
I know, right? I love that they, and I it's funny. I think that was like one of the only fun things about religion was that you could just make stuff up like that. You're like, man, I figured it out, man. It's because they communicated words, and Jesus communicated love. So, boom, Word. He's the Word. I made a connection in my head. Dopamine hit.
Hell yeah.
Then they move on
to
to
solving the riddles.
Exactly. Yeah. Then they move on to conspiracy shit because of all that.
I was just thinking that's it. Once you get that confidence that you can unlock the Bible code or whatever, then you end up in a situation where you've got 2 demonologist pastors quoting the same Bible passage at each other, one to prove the earth is round and the other to prove the earth is flat, and all the rest of us laughing but also crying because they both have huge followings, and there's a fuck ton of people who take this shit seriously and want to control all our lives based on it.
Right? Wow. That is terrifying, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, this is why we can't have nice things, folks.
It is, exactly.
Father, full of grace and truth. Merry Christmas.
Okay,
And the pen
that's
goes
it
back.
for Tim. Yeah. So
He's holds it.
he doesn't like what she had to say. He doesn't have any good reason for it. He just doesn't like it. And that's the best reason to disagree with anything.
So far, yeah. I swear, one of these days, I really want to see a video where he's like holding the pen, but he's not paying attention, and he's got the lid off, and it's getting like written all over his face. It needs to be, that'd be a very like deep cut niche atheist skit that needs to happen.
That might be a B.S. Lewis project.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, we need to start making like skits of these people, man. It's just like an SNL, like atheist SNL type thing.
Oh yeah, so some of the stuff it's just, it almost writes itself.
I know. Half the time I'm just like, do I even have to make a joke for that? Nope. All right, moving on, because that was just fucking hilarious, straight up.
Yeah. All right. Our next fun friend for today is Inspiring Philosophy. I forget his real name, but yeah, whatever. So I Michael Jones, is that it? That's what my meat brain is telling me. I may be mistaken, but in any case, I try to be nice to this guy because while he's like super apologeticist, he's also not overtly evil. Like, he specifically made a video talking about the dangers of Christian nationalism. So
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah, I actually like him.
anti-Christian evil. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't mind him as much. Like, I have some Christian friends that I debate with that are very similar to this dude. It's like they're wrong about a lot of stuff, but they're not. But they also are actually thinking too. At least enough to see like the harm that their side is doing. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's something anyway. But today he's gonna, well, we'll see.
Jesus.
Who think that Christmas is the original holiday at this time of year, and we kind of gently nudge our Christian friends and say, just remember, you got all this stuff from us because we started this.
You're trying to kidnap what I've rightfully stolen.
Christmas is such a popular holiday that's
Okay, first, points for the meme. It's an old meme, but he upgraded it, so I'll give him points. That's a good one.
Great movie too.
I mean, yeah, Princess Bride is fucking classic.
Oh, it's excellent. Anything from that or Blues Brothers, I'm sold. I don't care. Like, I'm just like, all right, yeah, I don't care if it was good or not. That's an awesome whatever it was.
Yeah, we love our references, us nerdy folk.
That's right.
But also, we do have to keep in mind that modern pagans taking credit for old pagan traditions is a little bit cringe. It'd be like somebody deciding to become a modern ancient Egyptian, like a neo-paleo Egyptianist, for lack of a better term, and was like, oh, well, you want to talk about gods rising from the dead. You got that from us, right? Like, no, it's not from you. It's from the people who died long, long ago that you're now copying,
Yeah. Exactly.
It's it's a little cringy, but okay. So let's see what Mr. IP actually has to say about it. Oh yes, like Reformed Egyptian. Exactly, I got it.
Reformed Egyptian.
It's a Joseph Smith reference.
That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot him. Oh my god, that man.
some pagans like to play make-believe and pretend it was always theirs to begin with, but there's no evidence at all that Christmas is a pagan holiday.
so that's very, very, very misleading. Technically, he's correct, and as you know,
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Christmas is not a pagan holiday because it's Christmas.
Yeah. That's the
But
way.
it's just relabeling on top of existing holidays. None of the traditions are unique to Christianity. They're all assimilated from outside. The date was taken from outside. Now, you can argue maybe it was Sol Invictus, maybe it was Dionysus's birthday, maybe it was any of a number of different things. But the reason the date was chosen was because that already was a celebrated holiday. So while Christmas itself technically isn't pagan, all the parts of it is made from are all pagan. It's the ship of Theseus of holidays. At what point does it stop being the holiday you made it out of?
Yeah. And a lot of this is where I get so turned around with a lot of these things, because it gets a lot more complicated, because I feel like we're a lot of times we want to put stuff into like a simple box where we're just like, oh, it was originally this, and then everybody just all in unity decided that it was actually this over here. And it's like, of course it doesn't work like that. You got so many different cultures, you got so many different things, and like, yeah, they start to borrow from each other and stuff like that, or just have friends that celebrate one way and they think it's cool or whatever. Like, I don't know exactly how it becomes this way, but I think it's not as simple as the Christians coming in being like, this is ours now, you know what I mean, or whatever. I think it's just
I mean, that is kind of how Christians do everything else, though, right? Like they march across Gaul and go, "This is ours now." They march across, North and South America and go, "This is ours now, for the glory of Jesus."
That is true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated by this whole topic because I seem to hear people going back and forth on whether it was pagan or Christian, quite a bit. It's just very interesting to me. Because I don't know.
Weirdly,
I'm doing my best to keep up.
It's so weird to me that they actually use the same apologetic style tactics about this issue that they do with Jesus. Like they say, oh, well, there's no proof that this came from pagans. There's no proof that came from pagans. They're knocking down straw men. They're defeating alternative hypotheses instead of backing up their own claim that these things are Christian. Like, there's no evidence that any of these traditions originated with Christian people. Show me the Christians who came up with mistletoe. Show me the Christians who first put in a Christmas tree, etc. It doesn't exist because all of them are imported and assimilated from existing holidays. But they can't win on that argument. They can't demonstrate anything, just like they can't demonstrate Jesus ever lived, was originally theirs. So all they can do is pretend the alternative hypotheses are the only other viable options and then knock them down.
Huh. Yeah, you're right. That is such a common tactic from these people. It's just like in science, they like go after they never try to prove their thing. They always just try to go after like evolution or whatever, but they never can prove their own actual thing, the thing they're actually arguing for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fundamentally the same thing Kent Hovind does. I can't prove what I'm trying to say, so I'm going to try to put holes in what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And it'll somehow make my thing more true, I guess.
These guys specifically celebrate Yule, but there's no evidence any Christmas customs go back to Yule. In fact, Snorri Sturluson tells us that the Christian king, King Håkon the Good, put Yule on December 25th to coincide with Christmas.
Technically true. Once again, technically correct. The best kind of correct. Yule did get moved to December 25th. But moved, it even in the quote, it strongly implied that Yule pre-existed the arrival of Christianity in Norway, that the king moved the date of Yule. The wording is very carefully chosen. He placed the date of Yule on December 25th to make it coincide with Christmas. No, it already existed. It's on the fucking rune stones, it's it's infuriating. And also, Norway wasn't the only country to celebrate Yule. That was a big northeastern Europe, all of Scandinavia, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, like that whole family of Germanic and Nordic tribes. All of them celebrated Yule. It was a Proto-Germanic custom.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
There's arguments that the Celts celebrated it too, but that's harder to prove because the Christians got there earlier and burned all their books.
See that, yeah, they ruin things for everybody. It's
why we can't have nice things.
Or books.
In other words, Yule was made to be more like Christmas, not the other way around.
Yes, Yule was made to be more like Christmas because Yule was there first. So,
Our Christmas tree, or our Yule tree as we refer to it, is a very pagan holiday.
There was no such thing as a Yule tree.
Hold on.
I'm about to, I was gonna say,
Christmas tree, Yule tree, whatever you call the tree is not the holiday. All right, now I'll let him finish.
She made that up. Christmas.
No, she did not.
Christmas trees date back to the 1500s in Alsace, France, and likely came from paradise trees that were used in Adam and Eve plays traditionally performed annually on December 24th.
Partially true. It's very, very misleadingly phrased. There were Adam and Eve plays in the 1500s. And sometimes the trees that were decorated were called paradise trees to represent the tree in the Garden of Eden. But they weren't often pine-ish trees. They weren't often evergreens because an apple was used to represent the forbidden fruit, and apples don't grow on evergreens. And everyone knew this.
That would look silly.
It would.
Very silly.
And also, while these plays existed, that's not necessarily the origin of these trees. That the fact people did a play with trees doesn't mean that's the only thing anyone has ever done with trees. So, first, I want to call your attention to... Shoot, I lost the damn article. I had one that was able to pin the practice of Yule trees using whole trees, not just evergreen boughs and wreaths and shit, but whole trees, to 1419. That was the earliest date I was able to look up, but I can't find the frickin' article for it anymore. So yeah, almost 100 years before these paradise plays, we already had Yule trees in history. But then also, I'm using Wikipedia for this, but I know people complain about Wikipedia, even though Encyclopedia Britannica found that Wikipedia is more accurate than Encyclopedia Britannica.
Wow.
But whatever, because Wikipedia shows its sources, like right here, right? And so even if you don't believe Wikipedia, you can go check the source yourself. So that's why I'm using it, before anybody complains. Oh, let's see. It's commonly believed that ancient Romans used to decorate their houses with evergreen trees to celebrate Saturnalia. There's no historical records of that, but in the poem, a poem by Catullus, he tells of the gods decorating the home of Peleus with trees, including laurel and cypress. And Libanius, Tertullian, and Chrysostom speak of the use of evergreen trees to adorn Christian houses in the 4th fucking century. So, you know, it's been around a while. Vikings and Saxons worship trees. That's also true of the Celts. The entire point of the Druidic orders, at least from what we can reconstruct of what little information remains after the Christians burned all the fucking books, was that they had something like 21 sacred trees. It was kind of the heart of the religion. The story of Saint Boniface cutting down Donar's oak illustrates pagan practices in the 8th century among the Germans were related to trees. Trees were very fucking important to the pagans because nature was very fucking important to the pagans. Of course you would have a tree in your home because the trees are the fucking altar of your religion.
Yeah.
But never mind that.
And it makes good sense to like worship something like that. I mean, I don't know. For me, like a lot of the when you hear about the pagan stuff, it's like it makes so much more sense to worship like the actual stuff, you know, than like some magical thing that exists nowhere that you just say, oh, that's the thing that made all this stuff. Like I don't know. It just I get the pagan stuff way more.
Yeah, like there's historical records from 1441 here in this part of the article. It just goes on and on and on and on and on about non-Christian, pre-Christian, Christian imported practices, etc. Like, I think the problem is that the Christmas tree, as we understand it today, didn't come from one particular place. It kind of came from everywhere because early Christians had it. Other cultures had it. They had it in Asia. Like, everybody seems to have used trees for various things, particularly around winter solstice times. But that kind of supports the thesis that it was being done before Jesus even showed up.
Right.
So, yeah. Point there is that Mr. Inspiring is misleading us a little bit. Yes, there were these plays, but that's not the first source for that information.
No, trees were way before that.
trees are older than Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I mean, you can count the rings.
Look at the trees.
Oscar the Grouch is crazy uncle, like his crazy racist uncle.
So that was after Eric from Skeptics and Scoundrels told me about Midjourney. That was one of my very first prompts was the angriest Christmas tree, and that's what the system spat out. And I'm like, that's amazing. I love
really
it.
Good. I like that it's like from a burning town too. It's like right after a saloon fight, and you know,
yeah, I've got this one. Notice that Santa's got a little Cthulhu action going on. This one was the prompt was Christmas apocalypse.
No, that's awesome. Actually, I love that. That's pretty great. I like the tree like flying it. That's the tree's gonna crush everybody. That's
yes. Ho ho ho. This is what happens when you don't leave out milk and cookies, folks.
Yeah.
It's an ancient rite meant to prevent the end of the world.
That's so funny.
Oh, that was the end of IP's video. I thought there was more. Oh well. Well, he's thoroughly debunked, so there's that.
Yeah, that was not that hard on that one.
Yeah, we may have gone overachiever on that one, but you know, it happens sometimes. Well, I mean, that's sort of the way we distinguish ourselves from the apologists, right? Like they research until they find something acceptable that kind of sort of seems to fit the point they're trying to make. Whereas we actually want to get to the truth. They just want something that verifies their position and then they stop.
Yes. Yeah. They only want to validate what they were already going to think anyway. We actually try to figure out if we're right. You know?
Yeah. You know, there's pluses and minuses to being wrong. I don't actually mind so much because when I'm wrong and I discover that I'm wrong, whether someone points it out to me or I research more, that means I've learned more. And to me, that's a plus.
Yeah. That's how you gain more information. Like if you just decide that you're already right about all this stuff like religious people do, which is that's all religion is. It's just deciding that you're right about stuff. Like that's what a lot of people say, like faith is the excuse you give when you don't have a good reason to think something. I say it's just deciding that you're right, you know, which is what it feels like they're doing. Like, no, the faith part is me just saying, yep, I decided I'm right about this, and that's it. And we're done. There's no more talking about it. You know.
Yeah, it's supreme arrogance, as many people have pointed out. Dark Matter 2525 has a couple really cool short cartoons about that. You got to be humble to believe that the whole universe was made just for me.
That's insane. Oh, it's so obviously not. Like, holy shit! Even the planet we're on, like, can't even house us. Really, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10% of the planet we can inhabit, or something.
When you subtract the oceans and the poles and the deserts and the unfarmable regions, the badlands, the mountains that you can't even keep goats on, the volcanoes, and I could go on, but you get the idea. It's probably around 10%, give or take. Yeah.
Right. But it was made just for us, though. That's to have 10%.
Specially created.
So funny.
All right. Next we have Mike Wingnut, the other Mike.
Right. Yeah.
There's a part of me that wants to say bad Mike, but there are other but whatever. I mean, he's one of the slavery was but a good thing actually though kind of guys, so he's kind of ishy.
Oh, that's so bad. Oh God. Why did
it's anyway, he's also very, very anti-me and anti-LGBT, anti-humanist, etc. He's not a good dude. He's got this homie, we can just have a chat kind of vibe going on, but he is a bad man. Reggie pointed out that IP may also lean in that direction. I haven't seen it myself, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I should figure it's a ways back, but I figure I should just add that as a note too. I mean,
Definitely. I mean, it's almost safe to assume just if we're playing a video of some apologist, that's probably the case, that they also are a bigot in one way or another.
Often, yeah. I mean, that's one of the main reasons that people cling to a religion once they start to research, because it lets them justify their shitty behavior.
Exactly.
Like Uncle Bobby over at Gin and Truth points out, it's not apologetics that makes a person a shitty person. They were already a shitty person and picked up apologetics to justify being a shitty person. They're like, no, I'm not shitty. I'm just doing what God says, folks. It's
Right.
God that thinks you're a horrible human being.
Yeah.
But he loves you. Oh, I have that one. Hold on. Where is it?
But he loves you.
Nice.
He's gonna tell you that he's gonna make you burn in hell for all eternity because of that one time you stole a piece of bread in elementary school.
But he loves you.
He created you just the way you are, with original sin and an attraction to whoever the fuck you're attracted to. So don't ever act on it because you'll burn in hell forever.
But he loves you.
We could do this all day.
That is perfect.
All right, let's see what Winger here has to say.
Let's move on to Christmas trees. Christmas trees are pagan. Clearly, they are pagan in every way. I don't even need to explain. No, let's get
Okay, that was a quick video. Thanks for being honest, Mike.
Yeah. That's good. He was actually right.
into the details. Okay. The Roman cult of Asherah. This is what you will discover if you search online.
No. I actually had to go looking for the Roman cult of Asherah in order to find this alternate theory. But this is what we were talking about earlier. He's going to bring, instead of proving his point, he's going to bring up bullshit straw men and pretend it's either them or what he's saying. Knock them down and he wins by default.
Oh,
No,
it's like a straw man, false economy type of like combo.
Yeah, double fallacies. It's fun. So the Roman cult of Asherah, that is a thing that people have posited as an explanation for why there's Christmas trees, that the Romans, in the Bible it mentions Asherah shrines often involved a pole of some kind. So if a person had a tree in their house, it must have been because there's a pole in the middle of the tree trunk. So they were Asherah cultists. And then when Constantine converted the city, all the Asherah shrines became Yahweh shrines, or Jesus shrines, as you prefer, whatever. But that's coming from Christians. That's not a thing that historians have ever said. That's not a thing that there's any backing for. It's other apologists like Mike who made that up in order to knock it down.
We just went around and switched out all the labels on the trees. It said before it's for this holiday, and we just swapped it out for our stuff now. And now it's just relabeled.
Yes.
So, boom, out.
I mean, well, that's also part of Christian tradition, right? Like, you're a sinful monster, and we're just gonna dunk you in this water, gadunk, and all of a sudden, boom, made by God. It's just the holy. You change the wrapping, and now you're sanctified or some shit.
They also do it with the conquistador type of stuff. We're like, do you have a flag? Okay, well, it's ours. That's it. We're done. We've made it. It's ours.
Oh, you don't have a flag? We have a flag.
Well, we win. We just win.
Yeah, you didn't bring a flag, but it's the rules.
Man, it's just learn how to do this stuff.
Yeah, get good, noob.
Get good. Noob. That's good.
I will search Asherah or Roman cult of Asherah. It will tell you over and over and over again, countless websites, countless articles, countless haha gotcha type, websites that will say that the Roman cult of Asherah, they would put a tree in their home and they would decorate it as part of their pagan practices.
So
Okay.
Supposedly. Because when you
I love that he put supposedly as a point.
Bullet point. And on to the third, supposedly. A lot of people pronounce wrong. They put a B in there, and that's not actually how you. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. Your Honor, I have a very strong case. I Googled this thing specifically, and it said they had trees, and they decorated them, and supposedly. I mean, how can you refute that argument? Slam dunk. Case closed. Award me the verdict.
It is not. This was just a what do you call it, a template, and he was like, and supposedly. Oh wait, did that have a dot next to the supposed? Oh, shit. That was supposed to go on the other side. I'm not. It's too late. It's too late to correct. Just keep on going. Pretend that it's not a problem.
Yeah, I don't know about these guys. I don't know.
Search for an actual historical source to support these claims, you find nothing.
And nobody would search for these in the first place if you didn't tell them they have to search for Roman cult Asherah, you know?
Yeah.
It would never come up in their search results.
You find is tons of websites with claims that we all know that cult of Asherah, they had trees and da-da-da, but when you scroll down to find their actual source notes, these are the types of sites that don't have notes, don't have any footnotes.
Mike is saying citation needed. And while I agree, that also applies to Mike. Like what you're saying needs citation too, fam.
Yeah, where's your actual evidence of your thing that you're actually trying to say? Like,
yeah, like
it's frustrating.
Infuriating. Oh, oh, and one more thing, supposedly.
One more thing. Supposedly.
Brilliant Jedi.
That was good.
Yes, countless, but they are countable. You cannot put the tree in your house. No.
No. No.
Still a better argument than Mike's making.
Don't have any references. Now, if it's out there that this Roman cult of Asherah somehow worshipped trees and put them in the home and had some pagan practices, there doesn't seem to be a lot of scholarly sources. I searched for scholarly journal articles. I searched for any...
You know what else there isn't scholarly sources for, Mike? Jesus.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't want to get into the whole Gary Habermas thing with the minimal facts argument, but these guys have to reach so far to try to be like, oh, there's a historical source. There's no scholarly source, so if it's not a scholarly source, we can just dismiss it, right, Mike? But I mean, there really aren't.
It's weird too, because I just put in, because I remember I was thinking earlier, and I hit send on it because I wanted to look it up earlier, that the Bible says not to bring trees into your house and decorate them. And I found the verse. It's Deuteronomy 16:21, and it says, "Thou shalt not plant thee an Asherah of any kind of tree behind the altar of Yahweh and but thy Elohim, which thou shalt make thee," or whatever. So isn't that Asherah? Isn't that what he was just talking about? Or am I like...
Yeah, that's exactly it. The name gets pronounced a little bit differently from area to area, and maybe Mike just only read it and has never heard it. I mean, honestly, we may not be pronouncing it correctly because it's ancient languages and such. But yeah, that was a thing.
That's why he brought it up, though. That's what's so interesting, because like it's in the Bible, the Asherah thing. And so when he's saying, but the secular scholars, when they do this, they'll bring up the Asherah thing. But that's, I don't know.
Oh yeah, like, it's fantastic. It's one of the many places in the Old Testament where Yahweh outright says there are other gods, and I'm big mad about it. Tradition says that Asherah and Yahweh used to be an item. They broke up. She dumped him. I don't know what the deal was, and he decided that all of her shrines needed to be destroyed. Because that's what gods do when they break up. They burn each other's shit.
And they need all the friends to pick sides. God damn it. And
yeah.
You know.
And that's why the first commandment says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. He doesn't even go so far as to say don't worship other gods, just I have to be first.
Wow.
That's the best he could do at the time, you know? Because they all were polytheists. Like Asherah was a real goddess, even according to Yahweh himself. Not just a demon pretending to be a god like the apologists say now. That fucker was a real god, equal in power or stronger than Yahweh. The same thing with Baal and Mel, whatever the fuck that they talk about.
Molech, yeah.
Yeah, Molech, that's it.
Yeah, I remember hearing Bart Ehrman went on about that. He was like saying the reason that Christianity spread like wildfire was because you used to be able to just add another god to the canon and just, it's just like, okay, oh, well, then that one too. You got yours. Okay, we'll just add them to the group. But then at some point in Rome, the actual Christian faith was like, no, this is the only one. It cancels out all of the rest. And that's why it spread so crazy, because it was like deleting all of those beliefs while it was spreading, unlike most beliefs at that time.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to. It's sort of like a computer virus. It installs itself in any existing belief system and then starts overwriting the existing belief system.
Exactly. That had never been done
rude
before. Yeah. It's like, assholes. Like, fucking happy.
Yeah. It's trippy as crazy shit. But yeah, Asherah was a real goddess, believed to be formerly Yahweh's wife. I mean, hell, even in Genesis, when Yahweh kicks Adam and Eve out of the garden, he turns to other gods and says, man has become like us. We must not let him get near the tree of life, or he will have eternal life and be exactly like us. And yet somehow Jesus comes along later and is like, yeah, I can show you how to get eternal life.
Yeah.
Kind of the opposite of what Yahweh said he wanted, but okay, fine.
And I bet that's why there's so many of the parts where they're pointing to like the Trinity, because they're like, look, they talk about us and we, and sometimes it's I, but then other times it's us and we, and like plural. That's I've heard that as like arguments for the Trinity.
Yeah,
like,
I've heard that repurposed in that fashion, but I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can get frisky with pronouns. Like I've heard people make the argument that because Hebrew doesn't have a non-binary pronoun, or it doesn't have a non-binary pronoun. Like in English, we can say they, referring to a singular person, like someone was at the door, what did they want? They didn't have that in Hebrew, so they used masculine pronouns as both masculine and unknown, gender neutral, non-binary, etc. I just did a video on this. I think it was yesterday it came out. Holy crap, the days are blending together on me.
I know, right?
And it's really funny when somebody throws a hissy fit about how, God's pronouns are he, him. Oh, now you respect pronouns, but whatever. Right. Bearing in mind there was no gender neutral, so when you see a he and it isn't expressly described that the person is male, the default is to assume that they're not a known gender or have no gender. In fact, there was a no gender in ancient Israel in the Talmud. They're called the tum-tum.
Wow. So it's like masculine was like Schrodinger's gender. And then, unless it was...
Yes.
Right.
The masculine
nice.
Was the gender neutral default unless the person was specifically described as masculine. That's why descriptions of Abraham and Moses talk about their beards, why beard was such a big deal.
Oh, fascinating. Okay. I did not know.
Yeah, it's neat.
That is neat.
All over, I spent so much time looking for just anything to support this. Couldn't find a single one.
Well, he couldn't find it. Therefore, there must not be anything.
No, yeah.
I mean, once again, I don't think the cult of Asherah in Rome, there probably were cultists, because there were cultists for fucking everything, and all these religions blended together. Like the Babylonian goddesses were the Israel area Judean goddesses, Canaanite goddesses, the Roman goddesses. Like, they're not the same, but they all influenced each other because of trade in the neighboring cultures and shit. So it's not unthinkable that there was a cult in ancient Rome, but we don't know, So,
right.
Meh.
I think that we're safe to dismiss it unless somebody shows us otherwise. Because you would have to show us that they did this, and then demonstrate how that somehow affected all of Christendom.
It's an interesting idea. We should dismiss an unsupported assertion until someone could show us otherwise. I agree, Mike.
Did he just do Hitchens Razor? Is that what was happening?
I think he did, yes.
Wow, all right.
There's a whole reason we're on this side.
I see why he didn't call it that, but that was... Jeez, that's funny.
Yeah. Whoops.
Into having trees as well. Some say it's connected to the Asherah poles of the Old Testament, but then they're going to have to explain how it was that those Asherah poles, which were nothing like Christmas trees, turned into Christmas trees, moved over to a specific day of the year that has nothing to do with Asherah, and then of course,
how do you know, Mike?
It takes millions of years, and then it's a common ancestor, right? And that's how they turn. Anyway,
that's right. That's right. The poles in the trees, they just have a common ancestor. Yeah, it's convergent evolution.
That's right.
I mean, yeah, religions do evolve. Like we've seen Christianity change, even within our own lifetimes. Well, we'll just go with it. Yeah, like even though Genesis explicitly talks about creation, during the middle of the 20th century, many of the apologists, I dare say even most of them, were saying, "Oh, well, God made the universe perfect, therefore it's infinite and eternal." And then we found the cosmic microwave background radiation that confirmed the Big Bang, and they all changed their tune. Oh, there was a moment of creation. This confirms Genesis.
Wow. Yeah. It's always, yeah. They can just always confirm Genesis if you're, dishonest enough, right?
Yeah. It just, I mean, there's still people today, predominantly the flat earthers and other folks along those lines, but there are still pastors, preachers, people with followings today who are saying, "Oh, well, the Big Bang's nonsense. The universe is eternal, obviously." It just never stops. It's all confirmation bias all the time.
Yep.
Of course, migrated up into Germany somehow out of Iran and wasn't in Iran anymore. It just doesn't make any sense. The Asherah poles were gone by the time of Jesus anyway. So those who've actually looked into that, you should let it go.
The Asherah poles were gone from Israel by the time of Jesus, because that was the point of the Israeli conquest, was I'm giving you these lands as I promised your ancestors whom I brought up out of Egypt, because they worship other gods who are not me. So go in, kill them all, except the very young girls, keep those for yourselves, and destroy all their shrines to everyone, especially Asherah, that bitch.
Okay. I see.
They have corrupted the land with altars to other gods. How dare? How dare?
To my ex, just get
Yeah.
that. Ended up being like a forgetting Sarah Marshall thing for God. He's like, "Ah, man, all these, she's everywhere. She's reminding me of our relationship everywhere. Get rid of these trees. Get rid of these pole things."
Mm-hmm. Burn all the trees. Maybe that's why Jesus lit up the fig tree. It was like, it reminds me of Asherah.
Just different tree, but still a tree nonetheless. So
she didn't give me figs either.
Oh, God. That's awesome.
So let's move on. Legend has it. Now, I'll say legend because it's oral tradition. Okay, legend has it.
Oh, let's dismiss oral tradition. You know what else is oral tradition, Mike? The Bible.
I know. I was going to say. Well, I was going to make a sex joke, but I skipped over it. And then I was going to say the other thing.
But if you want to create your own oral tradition, Brentley has a thing for that.
Exactly. AdamandEve.com. They got all the stuff for all your oral traditions. Put in it code Brentley at checkout at AdamandEve.com.
Smooth plug. Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
We fit that right in. Just like a plug from AdamandEve.com.
That's right.
Luther, as in Martin Luther. In 1536, he was walking in the forest and he looked up and he saw through the trees these brilliant stars shining through the trees. And it made him think about how Christ left heaven to come and dwell amongst us here on earth. So that...
What?
Who is he talking about?
Martin Luther. He looked up through the trees. He saw the stars. He looked at the trees. And he saw the stars. And it made him think about how Christ left heaven for some reason. We're not going to explain that. That's just what happened. You just have to take my word for it.
He left the stars to the tree. He came from to the tree. I don't know why I mentioned trees. Well, damn.
So Beamsy says, who does not like Christmas? It has Santa, and he gives everyone hose.
That's pretty good.
Damn it, Beamsy.
And if you want to do something with hose, just go to AdamandEve.com.
Why is it that apologetics is so dirty? Like everything is a freaking sex joke.
Constant. It's constant. It's so funny.
For people, well, maybe it's because they're so obsessed with sex. Or you can't have sex until marriage. Purity, purity, purity. Oh my God.
Makes them think about it like so much more that they're like making references they don't realize they're making. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That he then came home and he cut one of these trees down and he set it in the house and he decided to put lights on it to tell his children, "Hey, this represents how Christ came down." Now,
that's not the story he just said. Like, how could the tree? Whatever, fucking whatever.
So those are supposed to be stars on the tree, and that's the stars on, or the lights on the tree are supposed to be like the stars came down, hung out on the tree, and that's supposed to represent Jesus coming from the stars to the trees, or to the.
Sure. I mean, for me, I put the star on top of the tree, but I mean, I'm also a heathen, so I'm probably doing it wrong.
Right.
I
do upside down, so it's got the down. The.
Yeah, like I have heard tales of people back in the old days putting candles on their trees before there were electric lights and shit. They tended to have fires. Yes, it natural selection selected against it because those people tended to die and not pass on their traditions.
Yeah, the Christmas tree sap is quite flammable. I don't think people realize they literally,
especially when they're dry.
Yes.
They've been cut down for a few weeks and the branches are getting a little papery. Oh goodness.
That's legend, yes. But it is the most solid source we have.
Aside from all the actual sources that Mike didn't bother to look up. Like, I mean, Inspiring Philosophies, Paradise Plays is a better source. And, we already dealt with that. But like Mike's just like, oh, there's nothing better than this oral tale. We have other similar stories about people cutting down trees here in the United States. There's a thing in George Washington's biography about him cutting down a cherry tree one time. And when asked by his father, "Did you do this thing?" he supposedly said, "I cannot tell a lie. Yes, I have done this." And that's the whole story. Apparently there's a moral in there somewhere. Whatever. But even when that book was published, they knew that was not true. It was a legend that then got passed into history because the people who knew it wasn't true didn't bother to protest it. And if you make up a legend after the person involved has died, you can say almost anything. Possibility there was a real Paul Bunyan. He probably lived somewhere between where I do in Montreal. But the tales got taller and taller and taller, especially after he was gone. So, Then
an ox got involved somehow, and it got crazy. It got crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's lasso and tornadoes. I don't know. It just gets nuts.
Mm-hmm. We wound up with the Mississippi River, the Grand Canyon, and a fuck ton of lakes in Minnesota. That's
right.
Yeah, this is what legends do. They deform your planet.
Right. That is a perfect example, though, of like how these legends kind of work, or those types of tall tales, because we all know those stories are ridiculous, but a lot of them were told about real people. This is interesting. I think those.
Yeah.
On why people do Christmas trees. And it actually explains why, for a very long time, for about almost 300 years, Christmas trees were a predominantly German practice. They were not done throughout the rest of the world. They were just done in Germany. And that's where Luther lived. And if you ask them...
Oh, okay, so Luther lived there. So the fact that the entire rest of the world did it for all of recorded history... It could only be they came from Germany and didn't happen until the mid-1800s. I see.
Well, Germany told everybody in the past to start doing it ahead of time, and that way, it would just be because of them. So I don't know how they did it. It's impressive, though. It's impressive.
Those German scientists, they are way ahead of the curve. Like they invented rockets, they invented jet engines. Apparently they invented time machines too. What the fuck?
Right, with the Red Skull, man. He was just You know, another legend. You know, that was very.
Yeah, and we can't find any sources that say he didn't exist. So,
And
you
some of the
know.
best, I mean, beyond the sources that I call Marvel Comics, like they don't, you know, and they are pretty conclusive about the Red Skull and the stuff he did. So all the other
Yeah.
sources suck. That's about it.
I mean, Marvel Comics is historically accurate. Like, take Spider-Man. We know New York City exists, so therefore Spider-Man is at least plausible.
Straight
and
up.
we and they talk about Thor, and then we find these ancient runestones that also talk about Thor. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what more do you need, really?
That's it. That's all we do need, right?
Yeah.
Thor is the true God. That's it.
Where they got the Christmas tree idea, they would have pointed to Luther. Actually, they wouldn't have said, well, you know, there were these pagans in Iran and we followed their practices. We don't know why. I don't think so.
Oh, he doesn't think so. That's great.
Now, in the 1800s...
Oh! Jacques Polmer makes a fantastic point. There was no Germany before 1871.
Oh, whoops.
Conacher brings it up too. Before the unification, it was Saxony, Bavaria, Austria, Prussia, etc. There wasn't a Germany. It was just territories. It's sort of like the Netherlands, independent kingdoms or grand duchies or what have you. There wasn't a kingdom of Germany.
Okay. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Might want to get facts
100.
like that, you know, correct.
I know.
Trying to make
Details.
like, right, I mean, I know it wasn't around back then, but anyway, about Germany before this time. Come on, man.
Well, you know Brentley. Were you there?
I wasn't. No, I was. You're right. Maybe Germany is just always.
So
I don't know.
so you're taking man's word over Mike's word, who is also a man, but never mind that.
The right man.
In the mid-1800s, the British royal family popularized trees even more.
That part is true. Queen Victoria, grandmother of Europe, she was, you know, long reigning queen in England, and her children basically sat on the throne of every fucking country in all of Europe. So she wanted to have a cosmopolitan Christmas celebration that followed the traditions of all her diverse descendants. So she brought all the traditions together into London and did all of them at once, because England was very, very rich and could do that at the time. And that made Christmas trees very, very popular, but also other traditions like Christmas carols and, what was the other? I am drawing a blank, probably because I'm Christmased out. But like almost everything we do now came from Victorian Christmas. Fucking eggnog. Not all of the things survived the trip over to the United States though. Like the tradition of I can never pronounce it, but in Wales they have a horse skull. They put a horse skull on a stick and then decorate it. There's like a cloth to hide the person holding it and shit. And they go to people's houses and they knock on the door. And when the person answers, they shove the horse skull in their face, and then they do a rap battle. They challenge them musically, and the person has to answer a refusal back musically, and it has to rhyme, so it's a rap battle. And if the person in the house can't answer the haunted horse skull, Andrew's got it. Marie Lloyd.
Marie Lloyd.
Yeah. If the horse wins the rap battle, then all the people with the horse skull get to come in and take all your booze. But then you get to join the group and go to the next house and rap battle for all their booze. So it's a good time.
It's like an ancient drinking game.
Yeah, exactly.
A block party drinking game. That's funny, dude. Wow.
Yep, that's the Welsh Christmas tradition, and sadly it never caught on in the US. So we didn't get all of the traditions from the UK, but quite a few of them. We did some anyway, but a lot of that stuff came to us from Victorian England. Also assisted by Charles Dickens, writing A Christmas Carol and talking about what Christmas is like in England. That inspired a lot of Americans. They're like, why don't we do that? That sounds awesome. Roast chestnuts, fuck yeah, you know?
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's so interesting. I can see it.
Yeah. So he's correct on this point.
It's the one point.
But that doesn't mean nothing was happening before that.
No.
Having a German in the family, Prince Albert, they had him import several spruce firs from his native country in Germany. And what he did was he put them inside of the royal house. Now, that wasn't that rare for him to do that. What happened in the mid-1800s, though, was periodicals took drawings, art drawings of the royal family in front of their Christmas tree and published them throughout Britain.
They took art drawings.
They took art with their camera.
Yeah.
They took
art drawings with the camera. Yep. This looks a lot like a woodcut to me, but I mean, what do I know? Never mind that you can actually see the wood pattern in the drawing.
Right, I was gonna say, what is this? Is like a wood burning kit thing? Like, okay.
Never mind that. All right, enough of Mike. We've been going on with him for a while, and we've got a few other people to play with. Let's see. Should we do Pastor Vlad or Honest Answers? Honest Answers is an interesting one because I see their videos on lots of other channels, and maybe they have their own channel and I haven't found it, but they're just kind of all over the place.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I've known that one.
Yeah, let's see what they have to say. It'll be fun.
Well, it's a very popular idea that you hear and read everywhere. Unfortunately, looking a little deeper into the idea, we see some problems. But first, the reason people say this, it's true in the ancient world, there were gods or heroes who, in some cases, are reported to do miracles.
So, yeah, there were indeed gods in the ancient world. Lots of people had gods, including, the Hebrews, whom Jesus was a member of, but whatever. It's not just the ancient world, right? Like there's, everybody's doing miracles, etc., etc. I like to bring up, my aphasia's kicking my ass today. It's, it was just in my head before I went to say it. There's a fellow in India, I gotta Google it. The theory. Words are hard, folks. You know what? We'll just go with. There was a person who lived not long ago. I think he died in 2011. Who was said in India, who was said to do all kinds of miracles, including raising the dead, including healing amputees, and millions of witnesses who are still alive today because it's in India. There's video recordings of him doing miracles.
Is this like Satya Sai Baba?
Yeah, Sai Baba. That's it. Yeah, Thank you. I know. I have a freaking image of him. The India put him on a postage stamp, and I Satira Sai Baba. Yeah, he's the reincarnation of a previous Sai Baba, and of course, he'll reincarnate again, and so forth. But the name just fell out of my head. I was just pulling Sathira Buddha, and I'm like, that's not it. Damn it.
It's close,
Yeah, like Sai Baba lived not that long ago. Many of the witnesses are still alive. There's even video recordings of all these miracles. Why aren't all the Christians now Hindu? Because this is the same evidence Jesus had of much higher quality. Like, what up?
Damn, yeah, and it's more recent. They have more. You're right. The witnesses are still alive. All the things that Jesus doesn't have.
Yeah, the only real significant difference is resurrection, but that's because in Hindu it's reincarnation.
Yeah, they don't do the.
Yeah, like he didn't himself come back from the dead, but apparently he was able to prove he was the reincarnation of the previous Sai Baba. So he did kind of come back from the dead, just through a different door.
Yeah, it was through a different door.
Yeah,
that's good.
In a few cases, supposedly were born of a virgin.
Lots. I'm aware of 15 religions that have their god born from a virgin.
And
also,
that was a mistake, wasn't it? too.
Yeah,
It's
the
a
Bible
mistranslation.
doesn't say the Messiah must be born of a virgin, just an unmarried young woman.
Which,
And also, Mary was engaged to Joseph, which in modern convention we understand that to mean not married yet. They still have to do the ceremony. But under Levitical law, engaged and married were synonymous. Because if you assaulted an engaged woman, a woman who is either married or pledged to be married, it's the same legal penalties for, et cetera, et cetera. The point is, not only did Mary not have to be a virgin, but she did have to not be engaged, which she was. So the same Bible prediction they point to say Jesus was born of a virgin shows that Jesus could not have been the Messiah.
Cody,
Well, that's fun.
By their own criteria. That's so funny. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, fun times.
They did exorcisms. They, in some cases, were claimed to have been killed and then raised from the dead. So we hear these stories and we say, wow, that does sound an awful lot like Jesus. In fact, some try to say things like, well, maybe the Jesus of the Gospels is a plagiarism of these other ancient stories. The problem with all this is that it denies some very simple facts. Number one, the history of Jesus is profoundly different than the mythical, and I would put it this way, obviously mythical nature of the pagan gods.
As opposed to the obviously mythical nature of Jesus.
I know that. No, that's the true nature of reality. Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of coloring his words there. I'm very interested to hear what exactly it is that's fundamentally different, because I've heard so many apologists make the case that while it's true every single thing Jesus did was already done by someone else previously in history, other gods who proved their divinity through these miracles, born on December 25th, raised from the dead, water into wine, walked on water, all of these things. Every single thing Jesus did was absolutely 100% plagiarized from previous religions. Jesus was the first one to do all of those things, so they were really precursor Jesuses to give you the signs to look for when the real Jesus comes.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
They all, yeah, because that so you need all of them to be done by the same dude, and then that's
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and in fact, I've heard people use a biblical backing for this. It's like Moses versus the Egyptian priests, right? When they got out their serpent measuring contest, Moses did the same trick the priest did. They did the same trick, but Moses did it better, showing his God had the bigger serpent.
Right.
Like they weren't false gods, but the fact that they did the same trick only further verified that Moses' God was the real thing,
Right. I see.
Or something. My serpent's bigger than your serpent. And similar thing with the turning water into blood deal, right? Like Moses turns all the water in Egypt into blood, and the Bible says the priests of Pharaoh did the same thing.
Yeah.
But all the water was already blood.
I always wondered about that part. They're like, oh, look, we can do it too. It's like, wait, what? What do you think the word all means? Like, I'm like so confused. Like, but I got this one cup right here, and they didn't do. Okay, look, we did it too. Boom. What?
Yeah.
Really, it was just a pen. They took a pen and just in the water real quick.
Well, it really, you have to wonder, what do you mean by Egypt? Because, Egypt could just be, the area immediately around the pharaoh. That's the area he could see and lay his eyes on. That's the area he directly ruled. Everything else had to be carried out by messengers, so it wasn't really Egypt. But when Moses did it, that meant the entire length of the Nile, or some shit like that.
Wow. Okay.
Apologists are so much fun.
Yeah. Wow.
For instance, we live at a time when even non-believing scholarship recognizes the historical Jesus cannot be denied. And in fact, not only did he live and die, but he is recognized to be this amazing figure from the ancient world, such that even if you deny that he worked miracles or any of that, we know more about him as an historical person than anyone from antiquity.
Well, that's just not true at all. We can't even verify he actually lived. Now, I'm not a mythicist myself. I don't make a positive claim that he did not exist, but the fact that we can't definitively prove he did exist, that's a bit of an issue for a person who's supposed to be the incarnation of a fucking god. Like, how is it possible that he left no mark on history whatsoever? All we have are the oral stories people told about him long after his death. What the fuck?
Yeah, there's so little there. Like you said, like I'm agnostic on the mythicist thing, but it's like you said, I think that it's the fact that we have so little, I think says a lot for their side. I wouldn't ever like say that I'm on that side necessarily, because I feel like it's a whole lot of work you got to do, to be able to argue that type of stuff.
Yeah,
Like John
and some
Gleason
people
does a
are
good
willing to
job.
do it.
Yeah, like John Gleason's great. Like he knows like his stuff really well. And I like watching him talk about it. I don't know if I could feel that confident about that stuff, but him and Carrier, seem to really feel like it's
Yeah,
solid.
they put in the effort, and like I said, I'm not convinced one way or the other. There is a strong case to not be convinced he truly existed. I'm not convinced of the positive claim he did exist either. But
Right.
to me, it doesn't matter. My personal hypothesis is that Jesus is a literary amalgamation, like King Arthur. Lots of people's stories jammed together into a single individual. And there's some biblical basis for that, like the fact that Jesus was born 2 different times, 10 years apart.
That's
depending on which gospel you're reading. Like, these are clearly multiple people whose stories were amalgamated together. But whatever.
I think you're right. That is it. And Jesus was a popular name too, so it's like all of this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there were something like 64 different Jesuses that Josephus wrote about or something, but whatever.
I had not heard that one. That's awesome.
I'm probably getting the number way off because it's just an off the top of the head recollection of something I heard in passing once, but it's just trippy. But the fact of the matter is that if Jesus did live, Jesus died. That's not controversial. That's kind of what happens to everyone,
So required, yeah.
Yeah, it's like we could just grant that. Now show me some proof of the fucking miracles, would you?
That's where
we
Contrast this with, say, the Homeric gods or heroes or any of the other Roman gods and heroes from the past. It's just a dramatically different situation. And in the case of Jesus, we indeed now find that many non-Christian scholars will even say things like it's apparent from these amazingly early documents. Notice I'm referring to both non-biblical documents as well as the biblical documents we call the Gospels and the New Testament letters. That these are so early that even if you don't accept them as the Word of God, they are so early that they relate eyewitness testimony of a man that these scholars who are not Christians will admit.
Eyewitnesses, you say?
Right? No.
Who was an eyewitness?
Yeah.
I don't even know this guy's name. Let's just say pastor. Bible, not Bible, anything, any witnesses? Bueller? No. We know the Gospels themselves make it clear from the way they're written, or they even overtly say, this is tradition that's been passed down orally, and I decided to write it down. Like, they're not eyewitness accounts.
No.
Paul was not an eyewitness. He had a hallucination. Maybe he saw the risen Jesus. We'll put a pin in that and set it aside as a maybe, but he was not there for the resurrection. And the fucking 500 witnesses he talks about, he doesn't even name any of them. He says in that passage in Corinthians, you can go to the holy city and verify for yourselves there were 500, but he doesn't give them a name for who to go talk to.
Right. There's it's records of like.
Yeah, it's McCarthyism. People. I have here a list of names,
Right. Yes.
So we have 0 eyewitnesses. We have not a single fucking thing from a single eyewitness.
No. The closest I've heard is that people say that Paul talked to people that had talked to eyewitnesses. That's what I've heard. You know what I mean? Like, who is it? Like Jesus's brother or something, James, right? That's the and people like that. I don't know, but Yeah, no actual eyewitness accounts.
Yeah, it's my goodness. And you can tell they're going to go there too because it's part of the strategy. They stress early documents, early manuscripts, etc. Okay, great. What do you mean by early? But also, you already said early. The fact you're stressing it is you're trying to paint a picture that you know you can't support with facts. And that's a bit of an issue too.
Appears to have been some kind of miracle worker. We live at such a time that his historical resurrection is indeed one of the most talked about features of historical Jesus studies today.
Well, yeah, because you fuckers keep talking about it.
Yeah, your religion sort of depends on it, so yeah, that makes sense. Why you would talk about that?
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I agree with Paul about. In one of his epistles, he says, "If Jesus did not rise from the grave, then our faith is in vain." Yep, I agree. If it didn't happen, then you're just making shit up. It's just like with Brother Ham here. If you don't believe one part of the Bible, why would you believe any of the rest of it? Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
There are false things in the Bible. We know from geology, from our own history even, that the global flood did not happen, not as described in the Bible at the very least. And if you can't trust one part of the Bible, why would you trust any of the rest of it? We know that humans never were at a point where there were only two in the total population. Our low point is somewhere around 50, 60,000 individuals. There was never just two humans, let alone the first humans. Our genetics confirm this, so we know that didn't happen. And if you can't trust one part of the Bible, why would you believe any of the rest of it? We could do this all day, too.
Yeah. This could go on forever, literally.
Oh, my goodness.
And the majority, even of non-Christian scholars, recognize something so amazing happened that they come up with counter theories that are very similar to what we've seen throughout history. And these counter theories really become implausible if you don't simply reject the history because you are, let's say, a philosophical naturalist and you believe that miracles are impossible. So, on the one hand, we have...
I don't believe miracles are impossible. I've just never seen any evidence that miracles are possible. So I'm suspending my belief until I see a reason to believe.
Yeah,
It's not the same as saying they're not.
Right. It's more of a methodological naturalist take on miracles, right?
Yeah, You can't just assert you can't prove miracles aren't possible. I mean, well, we kind of can in a sort of roundabout way. Every time we do a science experiment and it comes out with scientific results, it's one more evidence in a long series that there has never been a fucking miracle, that no supernatural event skewed the results of an experiment. It is ever been recorded.
And it's really weird. I just have to say, it's really weird to use the phrase, believing that miracles were not possible, seeing as how that is a fundamental aspect of what it is. Like the whole point of a miracle being a miracle is that something impossible just happened. Right. So it's like, oh, they believe that impossible things can't happen. Yeah, man. Like it's just weird to frame it the way you did,
Yeah, it's there's a few things like that, right? Like the concept, where does God live? Oh, God lives in heaven. Okay, cool. Where's heaven? Well, it's up in the sky. Okay, so we go up into the sky. No God. Oh, well, he's actually in space. Okay, so we go up into space. Oh, look, no God. Oh, well, he's actually hiding on the far side of the moon. So we go around the moon. Nope, no God. Oh, he's in the distant reaches of the universe. So we build the Hubble fucking space telescope and take the Hubble deep field image and see all these cool galaxies billions of light years away, but no sign of a God. Well, he's transcendent. He's actually outside the universe. Oh, did we scare him off? Did we? He's outside now. Even though the Bible talks about him walking around in physical form in the Garden of Eden, or physically traveling with the Israeli exiles as a pillar of flame by night and a pillar of smoke by day. No, he's outside the universe. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that fucking mean? He's outside of time and space, so by any definition, he does not exist.
Right.
Well, okay, I agree. He doesn't exist. Good
So we
job.
agree. Yeah. We're done here.
Ay, ay, ay.
That's awesome.
Have the problem of an historical person, indeed the most influential person in all of history, documented by historiography that transcends anything that we have from the ancient world, that can only be rejected precisely because of a philosophical viewpoint, not because of history, contrasted with mythological figures. But secondly, the person of Jesus is so profoundly different than any of the other so-called heroes or gods that we look at in these other mythologies. Let me give you a couple of reasons why.
Oh, are we finally going to get to a point here?
I've been waiting, you know.
Ay, ay, ay.
First of all, his philosophical portrayal. It's true that, for instance, if you read, say, the Iliad or the Odyssey, you will see that there are miracles all over the place. You will have gods, say, for instance, arguing with one another. And those arguments will lead to dramatic changes, let's say, in weather patterns on earth and sea. The very real difference in the case of Jesus is that you see a world that's much like our own, wherein God's ordinary providence, the seasons are, as he promises all the way back in Genesis, they're regular, they reflect his faithfulness. But unlike the Homeric gods, in which a hero is at their mercy, and the weather patterns are capricious and unpredictable, the very real difference is that the Jesus of the Bible actually can change these standard, reflecting of God's faithfulness type of weather patterns.
So the weather patterns are capricious and unpredictable because it's based on Jesus's whim instead of Poseidon's whim.
Wow. Okay. I think I got lost in the word salad there at some point. I just
I know. I was a little bit distracted. There's some drama happening in the side chat. Be nice.
Yeah, I was
play nice, people.
These words could not possibly be a sentence any longer. What? No, they are still okay. Shit.
Yeah, it just kind of went on. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
I'm like, is there a point hiding in there? That's another apologist trick, by the way, is when you can't answer a question, just keep talking until everyone forgets what the question was.
That's awesome. So yeah, just act like everybody's on mushrooms at a party or something, and then just talk like that's the case, and everybody will just forget. They'll move on.
Yeah,
right, got it.
Yeah, but he finally wound back around to like, oh, Jesus is different from the other gods who controlled the weather and made shit all unpredictable because he could control the weather and make shit all unpredictable. Totally not a copy of them. Yes, very different.
Okay, good God, that's what he was trying to. Okay, wow. All right, got it.
We're super clear. Yep.
Because he is indeed God. Very, very different philosophical portrayal, unlike anything else in history. Secondly, his teachings and his character are so different than anything else you see in these ancient mythologies. Are
they? Are they though? Like what did Jesus teach that was so different from what was being taught everywhere else? Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's? Well, no. I mean, in Greece and Rome, the churches actually paid taxes, which, that's a nice touch. Love thy neighbor, maybe? I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by love. Not to come off like an apologist myself, but there were some love cults back in the day.
Right.
And also, like devotees of Hermes. Like, Hermes wasn't just Speedy Wings messenger god, he was also the god of healing. His priests ran around and tried to medicine to people. They didn't understand it super well because it turns out, shockingly enough, no gods actually whisper the secrets of the universe in people's ear. Nobody's telling them about germs and antibiotics and things. So they weren't super good at it, but they did try to help. That was a thing people did for religious reasons. Care for others, regardless of what those people's religions were. I can't think of a single thing that Jesus did that wasn't already being done, at least as far as teachings and philosophies and shit.
Yeah, because I mean, even even the Golden Rule, that's like a far earlier, and I would argue even better versions of the Golden Rule were said earlier, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. In I think it's Hinduism. I may be mistaken on that, but there's another very, very ancient culture that way predates Christianity that calls what Jesus calls the golden rule the silver rule because it's only the second best approach. Their golden rule is treat people in the way they want to be treated, which
Right.
makes a lot more sense because,
Oh,
like, you know, if you're, say, yourself and you want to impress a partner, you don't necessarily want to treat the partner the way you want to be treated. You want to treat them the way they want to be treated. It
Right.
just, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole like we should just encourage empathy thing and try to see things from other people's perspectives, and I think that's like what he was needling out there. But at the same time, it's like you're not them. You don't know what they want. Just find out what they want and treat them like that. You know?
Yeah. We could go into the thing. I'm done. This dude is making me brain dead. I'm done with him for now.
I was gonna say I don't know what else. I'm trying to think of like what like Jesus' main philosophy was, other than like be nice to poors and not to riches, not to those richies. You know, seems, and that's totally flipped. It seems as of late.
Yeah, guitar dog. Don't threaten the power. That's like sacrilege or blasphemy or something. Oh, for fuck's sake. All right. Yeah. I mean, this dude is just fucking breaking my damn brain.
He just keeps, it's like a Jordan Peterson, like trying to follow what he's saying.
Ay. Alrighty. Last one, and we probably won't get through this whole one, because it's kind of long-ish. It's medium length, I suppose. Whatever. But yeah. Let's get back on track with Christmas. It's a pagan holiday. Christians nuking Christmas. Fun times. Let's see what. Now I've had mixed experiences with Pastor Vlad. On the one hand, he has extended an olive branch of attempted understanding towards LGBT people, particularly trans people. He doesn't do a very good job of it, but it appears to be a sincere effort. On the other hand, everything is demons. So,
This is one of the guys I cover quite a bit because he's just everything's a demon all the time, everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, so let's see what he has to say about, pagan holidays and things.
Christmas is a demon.
Should Christians celebrate Christmas? Isn't Christmas a pagan holiday? Why are Christians against Halloween, but they are pro-Christmas? Aren't Christmas trees demonic? What about Santa Claus? We will try to answer some of these questions in this video. So let's dive in first. I'm going to present 5 reasons why you might not consider celebrating Christmas. And I'm going to try to bring an explanation of why I think that you can also use the same reasons to celebrate Christmas. Now, the first one is that Christmas has pagan origins. There's a lot of paganism that is involved in holidays that were celebrated around the time of Christmas. For example, Roman culture celebrated the god Saturn from December 17th through 24th. And later on, they had this unconquered sun. They were celebrating that after that holiday. And there were certain sinful customs that were associated with this holiday.
Ooh, sinful customs. Tell me more, Vlad.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Now you have my interest.
Okay.
So yeah, Saturnalia, it was like a week of holiday, sort of Hanukkah-ish in that respect, in that it was multi-days. I believe it moved around a little bit, but the calendar back then also moved around a little bit. This was pre-Julian calendar, pre-Gregorian calendar. This was when they had, well, actually, no, it may have been Julian calendar by then. But it doesn't matter. They hadn't corrected for the actual orbit of the Earth, and so the calendar drifted a little bit every year. And so, yeah, a lot of holidays didn't fall on a specific date. Saturnalia just had to be like somewhere around. As long as the solstice fell somewhere in Saturnalia, close enough, we're fine. That sort of deal.
Huh.
But just because there was a holiday on that date doesn't mean that's what Christmas was based on. Like, you have a much stronger call to say Sol Invictus. But even then, it isn't strongly backed up by the history. But like we said earlier, there were a fuck ton of holidays on that day, like Dionysus's birthday, and everybody loves fucking Dionysus. You know, wine and orgies, and you get to celebrate his birthday. Holy crap, what an amazing god. I think he was also into medicine, come to think of it.
I mean, that just really is medicine. Serious. I mean, kind of, you know, if you think about it. So, I mean, apart from laughter, that is just the best medicine. Orgies, you know, that's what I always say.
Yeah, it's oh my goodness.
And if you want that
there
kind of
was, yeah, for real. Ay. All right, let's go on.
That the church cleaned up, and some of the customs were absorbed into the celebration of Christmas. And since the 4th century, Christians redeemed it and celebrated Christ's birth. Now, some of you may argue, say, Vlad, I watched your video about not celebrating Halloween because of the pagan origins, and now you're saying that we should celebrate Christmas. First of all, I'm not saying you should celebrate Christmas. What I'm saying is that when it comes to Halloween, the difference between Halloween and Christmas is that Halloween is evil in origin, but also its current usage of darkness, demons, death, or witchcraft makes it part of the kingdom of darkness that Christians shouldn't take a part of. And sometimes the meaning of words and symbols and traditions is determined more by its current usage than its origin. For example, like swastika was a symbol that was used for thousands of years as a symbol of good fortune. It would be foolish today to put that symbol on your door because of what it became in our culture. You can't stand and say, well, origins were good, therefore it must be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually
kind
agree
of.
with him on that. Yeah.
Like, I mean, anybody who puts a swastika on their door, at least, you know, in the United States or Europe, is gonna have some questions. Well, people are gonna have some pointed questions. Yeah,
and that it's funny because that's the exact example that I always bring up when people are talking about the Southern flag and stuff. You know, is I'm just like, okay, but you get that, you know, just because it doesn't mean that to you, it's a flag. You get that you can't, like, they don't know what you mean by it. They just see a fucking flag, man. And what other people usually mean by that is what is going to be taken from that, not what your very specific interpretation of whatever you think it is that you're communicating without saying anything other than just having a flag that people find offensive.
Yeah. Although, now that you mention the Southern flag, that makes me think that there are people putting up swastikas, but it's for the more modern 20th century reason.
Yeah, exactly.
For fuck's sake. B.S. Lewis, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
Oh, happy Boxing Day. That's right. Yeah, that's today, isn't it? Yeah, I forget.
Yeah. The chat on my side is there's some issues. I'm trying to just focus on the show.
I see that. So like, oh, boy, oh, okay, heated. All right, in there.
Yeah.
We have to look at also what does it represent today. And so when it comes to Halloween, it still represents, honestly, darkness, still represents witchcraft, it still represents darkness and death and all of this stuff. When it comes to Christmas, it's different. Christmas doesn't represent Satan. It presents the birth of Jesus Christ. At least that's what we celebrate.
It represents the birth of a little baby doomed to die by divine command in the most horrible way imaginable. Let's party!
Yeah, this little baby's gonna get tortured to death. All right, let's do it.
Woo!
Jesus,
what the fuck, Vlad?
Wow.
But Halloween, you know, where we celebrate our dear departed ancestors, that's evil because it celebrates death. Yes, unlike Easter, the entire point of which is that the little baby from Christmas did die. That
That's
doesn't.
what he. Yeah, that's what he actually got torture birded. Yep.
For fuck's sake.
Right during the time of Christmas. If Christians celebrating Christmas is pagan, so is gathering on Sunday to worship. You know that Sunday is actually named after a pagan god. It's a day of the sun. Wednesday is named after the Norse god of wooden. So is every day during the week. And so we don't gather on Sunday to worship pagan god, nor do we gather on Wednesday to worship a pagan god. And it's been so many years and thousands of years already that these pagan origins of names for these days have nothing to do with our current activities.
Speak for yourself, Vlad. I mean, I personally hang at least 3 people from gallows every Wednesday because that's what Odin commands. Is whatever. I try to summon a thunderbolt on Thursday, or pick up a hammer, or fuck it, whatever the fuck you like.
Yeah, just start hammering stuff. Typically do a couple
Yeah.
on Thursday.
And also it's such. So yeah, Tears Day, Odin's Day, Thor's Day, Freya's Day, Saturn's Day.
Yeah,
I don't know. That kind of just it seems weird to me.
yeah.
Like I get sun and moon. Those are like wild cards. You can fit those into any pantheon, right? So you can have all your Norse stuff plus sun and moon. Fine, great. Everybody gets a sun and moon. That's your free space. Why Saturn's Day though? Like I still don't understand that one. Probably there's a reason for it. Probably someday I'll meet a historian who will tell me, and I will be very interested to find out. But so far, what the fuck?
Like if we take, for example, Nike, it's a brand of athletic shoes and clothing, and wearing it doesn't mean that you're worshiping the Greek goddess of victory, for whom actually...
Well, there are people who think they won't buy Nikes because once they find out that it's the name of a goddess, they'll buy them before, but after, oh no, it's unholy.
Wait, Nike's based off of the god of victory?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Freaking almost everything in the world is named after or inspired by some god at some point. It's trippy as hell. Yeah, Nike was let's Google it. Who was Nike? Because it's fuzzy in my head, and my head's not been doing great today. In Greek mythology, Nike is the goddess of victory, both in war and in friendly competition. She is the daughter of Styx and Pallas, and the sister of Kratos, Bea, and Zeus. Nike is often depicted as the divine charioteer of Zeus and Athena due to her close relationship with both. Which makes sense, since, Athena was the virgin birth from Zeus's head. Mythology's fucking weird.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It always kills me when they start eating the babies. That was kind of odd. It's like you had to keep all the babies, and so you would eat them because you didn't want to be taken over by. It's like, okay, these stories are just ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some weird shit that goes into that too, right? Like, an apologist recently made the case that it was Christianity that ended the practice of infanticide that went on all around Europe, and it didn't. It actually got considerably worse, but never mind that. That got me down the rabbit hole of looking into infanticide in pre-Christian cultures. And there's some basis for the whole eating of the gods thing, insofar it was a sort of representation of how the existing generation tends to fuck over the generation that follows them. They literally eat their own young.
Right.
But it's also kind of got a spiritual metaphor of taking the infant back into yourself if you don't want them loose into the world. It's kind of weird. There may be cannibalistic implications. I didn't dig that far.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
But I mean, if you're literally eating your baby, like, okay, so with exposure. What they would do is if they had a baby they couldn't feed, they didn't want, whatever the case, if you didn't live in a major city where there was like a temple you could drop the baby off at, and that's a thing that, that's even what happened to Moses, right? You just put the baby in a basket and off he goes, and he happened to get found by somebody. So that's the same sort of thing. You could just leave the baby out somewhere, like in the middle of the woods, and they felt like it wasn't quite the same as killing the baby, because that way it was in the hands of the gods. Like a person could come along and find the baby, like Moses was found, and go on to have a full life. So it wasn't quite murder, but probably exposure would kill them.
It was most likely murder every time. Like, 9 times out of 10, I don't know. Maybe
Unless you happen to get raised by bears, you know?
Yeah, exactly. One of them's Mowgli. Other than Mowgli, they're all dead.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up. But remember, during the Christian era especially, but also to some extent in the past, there were a lot of poor people. Very poor people. Starving poor people. And here's this big old ball of meat. Are you really going to take that out into the forest, or are you going to say you took that out into the forest, you know?
Right. Oh, no, we left it out there. Yeah, no. No, I know we just ate a stew. No, I didn't say where. No, I didn't mention where we got the meat for the stew. And I'm about to in a second. I don't know. Actually, I forget. I think it was fish. It was fish.
Yeah, yep. Totally fish. Sure, it tasted like pork. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You know,
yeah.
It's like
it was magic fish.
Yeah.
The company is named. So while we don't ignore the origins, we look at what did they come to represent. Plus, Christmas was not originally a pagan holiday. There were pagan holidays that Christians just simply redeemed, or I would say repackaged, and instead of
liberated, Vlad. That's the term we use here in the U.S. We liberated your country, or we liberated your holiday.
Yeah, we appropriated. I mean, liberated. Yeah, that's same thing. Same thing.
Yes. When's Freedom Day?
Worshipping this unconquerable Son, they worshipped Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And so, therefore, you can say that we can't celebrate Christmas because of its pagan origins, or you can say that we can celebrate Christmas because of what it represents today, the birth of Christ. The second reason.
So it does have pagan origins, but that doesn't matter because it was rebranded.
What? Well, okay. I'm so glad you said that, because I'm like, hold on. He just somehow both said that it did and didn't have pagan origins, or it kills me when they all do this, because it's like they say one thing and then they say the opposite of the thing they just said. It's like it seems anyway. Maybe I'm like missing something, but what the hell? It's like, but yeah, I think you got it right. I think that was.
Yep. Or at least I rebranded it better than Vlad did, or something like that.
Right. I can follow what you're saying. I don't know. It's like...
I'm rebranding his rebranding apologetics. It's the meta apologet, the inceptogetics, if you will.
Loops back around again, and then
Mobius jetics. Apollo Mobius? Fuck it.
A reason that I see where people say we don't celebrate Christmas, or you shouldn't celebrate Christmas, is because actual Christians for first 4 centuries did not celebrate Christmas until Christianity became a state religion. Now, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. In the early centuries, Christians were more likely to celebrate a day of somebody's death than the person's birthday. Very early in its history, the church actually celebrated Jesus' death. They remembered his death, not his birth. Even Jesus told us to remember his death, but we don't see no mention about remembering his birth. Now,
I mean, it's yes, but also it's hard to when no one knows when it was. It doesn't say in the fucking Bible. It vaguely indicates it might have been sometime in the spring, but it doesn't fucking say.
Yeah. Because it was probably not, it probably wasn't noted at the time. Like he'd have to already do all the stuff before anybody's like, oh yeah, now let's like figure out where he was born and when he was born and all that. Nobody was recording that shit when it happened, right? This is all made up after the fact.
I mean, has anybody thought to go back and check the 3 kings records? Like, they're fucking kings. They came with an entourage, probably including a scribe who's like writing down all the great deeds of their lives for their bibliography. Wouldn't the scribes have noted? Oh, there's no records of that? Like it never happened?
Yeah.
Well, never mind then.
Oh well,
It was a thought.
Somebody said they were there though, but
Thoughts and bears.
there you go. Thoughts and bears. That's excellent.
One of the reasons that I believe that Christians allowed the birth of Jesus Christ to be taken off and spread like wildfire Christmas was because in the 4th century there was a controversy over the nature of Christ, whether he was truly God or was a created being. It led to the increased emphasis on the doctrine of the incarnation of Christ, the affirmation that the Word became flesh. And it's likely that the urgency to proclaim Jesus in adding humanity and being born by a virgin, as testified by the Old Testament, witnessed by the shepherds, endorsed by angels, that is what most likely was one of the factors in spreading the celebration of Christmas.
Nobody noticed these fucking angels? Nobody in town. Bethlehem, little small town Bethlehem, which is so overrun with people, there's no room in the fucking inn, right? There's people fucking everywhere in this town.
That's right.
Nobody noticed the fucking angels? Never mind the 3 kings. I mean, it's not like they were even quiet. There's a fucking drummer boy, right?
Right? Yeah. Just
Like they're
making
having
noise.
a goddamn concert out here with pyrotechnics and everything, and no one noticed it.
Right? You could smell the myrrh and stuff, you know, which is like everybody knows it's a party time when you smell myrrh. So
Yeah.
I
And they brought gold too, right? Like here's this fucking poor carpenter and his betrothed who just gave birth. So poor they had to go out and sleep with the fucking sheep and shit. And the next day the man is rolling in gold. Like, but nobody noticed.
Yeah, everybody's in their own thing, man. You know, they're all very self-involved. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Now, the third reason why people...
And where did the Gospels get that story, by the by? Like, these stories are told as if they were from the perspective of the disciples or apostles or whatever, but Jesus didn't meet any of those fuckers until he was in his 30s. So how did they hear about his birth? Did Jesus tell these stories? That's not how it's presented. Did they go fucking interview Mary after the crucifixion? Like, where do these come from?
Yeah. And it's that's what I say. Like it's got to be complete. It's just it's a made up origin story. It's got to be because it's just to shoehorn in the stupid prophecies and stuff, which they do very heavy handedly in those stories.
And mutually contradictorily.
That
And
is- yeah,
let's go with it. Fuck it. You know, I'm just making up words now, but why not? Shakespeare could, I can too. God damn it.
that's right. That's a good one though. If we're gonna make them up, that'd be the one to do.
Yeah.
So
People say that we shouldn't celebrate Christmas is that Jesus actually was not born on December 25th. And it's true. He was not born on December 25th.
Damn, Vlad is agreeing with us a lot today.
So far,
This is-
yeah. It's
This is kind of blowing my mind a little. Not one mention of a demon either.
what? Right? I don't even know what's happening. Like
Has Vlad been possessed by a demon?
I think he might be right now, and that's why he hasn't mentioned.
The fucking demon shows up and is like, "Listen, buddy, you got to stop talking about us all the time."
Right?
The
We'll
boss
get in.
downstairs, he's getting mad.
But his birth is a very special event for Christians and honestly for the world. The actual birth of Jesus is unknown. Many people have asserted that it's probably around March or early spring because the Bible tells us that when Jesus was born, the shepherds were watching their flocks by night. And shepherds don't really spend time in the fields with their sheep during the cold winters. So Jesus is...
What? No. You don't. So I've heard this one recently from another source, and maybe that source got it from Vlad, whatever.
Probably.
You don't stop watching your, like, if
there's
your
just-
flocks need watching during the summer, when there's lots of other things running around for the predators to eat, then they doubly need watching in the winter when there isn't a lot of alternative stuff for the predators to eat.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, man? That's the time when the shepherds have to be out there the most.
Yeah, and it's not like they just stop shepherding for like, well, it's temperatures have dropped. I guess just put all of the sheep inside the refrigerator or whatever, and we'll be back. And when it warms up a little bit or whatever. Like that's not how it works. They got to do it year round, right?
Yeah, we'll just leave them in the North 40, which doesn't have a fence because we don't do that right now. And I'm sure I'll check back in 4 months. I'm sure they'll be fine.
Right. But I wonder if that is the only, like, what else would the reasoning be why people say he was born at that time? Do you know? Like in the spring or the summer? I always heard summer, but he's saying spring.
I don't know.
I don't either. But
birth was a virgin birth. It was announced by angels, attended by shepherds, acknowledged by wise men. It is a fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies. Jesus came to live among us, to tabernacle among us, and He brought the salvation and the redemption that God prophesied and predicted and was looking forward to it by the coming of Jesus. Therefore, while we know Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, but we also know that the birth of Jesus Christ is a very special event, and it's something that is worthy of celebration.
The kind of thing that you might expect people to have written down, maybe. I don't know.
You'd think so, but
if you celebrate your birthday, I think you should celebrate His birthday as well. Number 4 reason why you might say Christians shouldn't celebrate.
I'd say you should celebrate your birthday. I mean, for one thing, thanks to Rene Descartes, you can prove that you actually fucking exist. So there's that.
yeah, at least you know that you are a thing that exists. So I would celebrate, those things' birthdays far before I would celebrate something that doesn't. Like an undead carpenter ghost or something.
Yes. Praise zombie Jesus.
Nice. Oh, hell yeah. That's excellent.
I had a vote on this one. Somebody pointed out I didn't have a zombie Jesus. Like I've got Bigfoot Jesus, and I've got cat Jesus, and strawberry Jesus. He's my favorite because he's a little fruity.
Nice.
I have a few different. I have biblically authentic Jesus.
Oh.
Obey my word, drink my blood, all this shit, or burn for eternity. Biblically authentic Jesus. But I didn't have a zombie Jesus, so I put up options for people to vote on. I had a Skella Savior and a moldering Messiah. This is the one who won. So yeah, I do things very democratically.
Looks like the cover of like a hymn album or a ghost album or something.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Celebrate Christmas was that there is no command in the Bible to celebrate Jesus' birth. It's actually true. There's not one commandment, there's not one mention of disciples or apostles or the early church celebrating His birth. I know that Christmas is such a big deal in our culture, but it was actually not mentioned at all in the Bible. But the Bible also doesn't prohibit us from celebrating.
Oh, it doesn't prohibit us. Oh, okay.
Wow.
We should, anything it doesn't prohibit us from doing, we should definitely go do that, right?
Right. Exactly. That's how that goes. Just do everything that it doesn't say specifically. That's yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't say not to,
I had to bite my tongue on that. I don't think I can say anything.
I know. and the worst part is Poe's law is coming into play because everything I think of is a horrible example of something that the Bible doesn't prohibit. Like, beat your slaves. Oh, wait, the Bible actually not only doesn't prohibit that, it expressly says to do that.
Yeah.
Every fucking thing coming into mind is something the Bible says to do. I literally, I'm drawing a blank on something immoral that the Bible doesn't specifically endorse.
Right. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Like genocide. No.
Nope, that one's out. Sex slaves. Oh, nope, never mind.
I already got
No.
Shit.
Is You know, Christopher Hitchens used to have a challenge. He'd say to theists, think of a moral thing that a atheist cannot do. One good deed that only a religious person can do and an atheist cannot do. And nobody ever really came up with a good answer to that one. A few joking answers came up, but nothing that seriously stood up. I kind of have the opposite thing going on here. I literally cannot think of an immoral thing that the Bible does not command people to do.
Right. It's like the exact opposite of an issue.
Like,
but I really can't. Like, I don't. Trying to think. I was like, ripping somebody's eye out. Nope, they got that. They said if they do it to you, you can do it to
yeah.
them.
Infant genital mutilation. Nope, never mind. You know, like, so that's I guess that's Hitchens' challenge part 2, right?
Right. It's
Can you think of any immoral act that the Bible doesn't expressly command people to do?
To do, yes.
Holy fuck.
That's awesome.
That's a brain buster right there.
Yeah.
Celebrating his birth. Therefore, Christmas is not a pagan holiday. Words mean Christ's Mass. Christmas, Christ's Mass. And just because the Romans' holidays were there, they were celebrating these 12 days, and then they were celebrating this unconquerable sun, but these were not the same holidays. They were not identical. Even those two holidays in Roman culture were not identical. And so, yes, there were certain elements of Christmas celebrations like bells and candles and decorations are mentioned in the history of pagan worship. The use of such items in one's home in no way indicate a return to paganism. In the Bible, we do see words like in Romans chapter 14, verses 5 through 8.
Oh, we're getting into the Bible stuff now. Yeah, so he's reiterating his first point. Just because a thing is intended to be used in a certain way doesn't mean you have to use it in that way. And if you use it in a different way, then you're not necessarily doing the thing that... Never mind. Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's... Let's take, swords, right? Swords are a good biblical item, swords into plowshares and all of this crap. If you have a sword and you use it as a letter opener, that doesn't change the fact that it is a sword and it is for stabbing people. And, maybe you never use it that way, but that doesn't mean it isn't used that way. Like, that's what it is literally for.
Exactly. It's designed to do that. But you can, that's a good point. Huh.
Sorry, I meant indentured servitude. Only for the Israelites, though.
Yeah, it's not.
And only if you don't trick them.
Right. Which is crazy.
Oh, yay. Fuck's sake. All right, let's skip this Bible nonsense here, because no one has a reason to care what the fuck the Bible says until demonstrated otherwise.
True.
Wow, he does a lot of passages.
Christmas is not in the Bible.
Yeah.
Jesus was not born on Christmas. The Bible doesn't give us recommendation to celebrate Christmas. It used to be a pagan holiday. Honestly, praise God. Whatever you do unto the glory of God. Follow your conscience. Follow your conviction. If you're one of those people who will say, you know what?
If people followed their conscience, I don't think there would be any more Christians.
Right? Yeah, that'd be a problem for Christianity.
Yeah.
But now is he saying that it did? Like, it almost sounds like he's saying, like, okay, so what? So it had pagan origins, and now it's Christian. Cool. What? That's awesome. What do you mean? Is that what he just said?
In a way, it's kind of internally consistent. It's like humanity used to be pagan, but now it's been liberated. I mean, redeemed by being conquered. I mean, set free by Christianity.
Right. Jesus.
I agree, Iconic. Professor Plink's ta-da with the sign. It's fucking great. I've been trying to think of something. I saw it first in Paulogia, but Professor Plink does it well too. Paulogia has that "for the Bible tells me so" thing. I was trying to think of something I could do along those lines that wasn't just straight up ripping off Paulogia. I'm still working on it. Something may come to me someday.
Yeah, it was a pagan holiday, but Christians repackaged it. And I do believe that Jesus is fully God and fully man. He took my...
Repackaged is an interesting way to phrase it. Isn't the Bible the origin of that saying you can put lipstick on a pig and it's still a pig?
Right.
Or no, I'm thinking of pearls before swine, aren't I?
Right.
Don't throw your pearls before swine.
Well, there was this like a thing in the nose or something, right? It was like you can put the ring or something in the nose of the pig, but like it's still you're just dressing up a pig or something like that. I think that is in the Bible still. Just can't think of what verse specifically.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And it's not super important. It's weird that they talk about pigs so much in the Bible, though, since they make a huge point out of the fact that they're unclean creatures that you shall not eat, shall not keep, shall not touch, etc.
Right.
And then, there's references to pigs, don't throw your pearls before swine, Jesus banishing Legion into a herd of swine. Like,
right.
Why are there so many pigs being herded when you can't use them in any way, can't touch them, etc.?
Right. That's a good point. Why are they all over the place? Why are they everywhere?
Very peculiar.
My sins upon himself, and he was born. It brought joy to the world, and I choose to celebrate it, not just on Christmas. I choose to celebrate it every day. And then he gave me my new birth because he came into this earth and he came into my heart by his spirit. And today I am a new creation, and I celebrate that, gather with my family, and I honor the Lord. That's all.
So Vlad is possessed by demons. Now, he says it's the Holy Spirit.
He's got him confused right now. That's all.
That's exactly what a demon would say, for one thing. But also, what is a Holy Spirit when you really get down to it? I mean, okay, ghosts, great. We got the Holy Ghost. That's fine. But like a Holy Spirit, a non-corporeal being, but it's holy, and it exists. It's physical, but it's not physical. Whatever the fuck that means. That's probably an angel. Right. That'd be my common sense interpretation. So we've got an angel, which is fundamentally the same thing as a demon, because the difference between angels and demons is literally just a political difference.
Yeah.
Some of them sided with Lucifer. That's
who
it.
They support. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who they vote for.
So how does Vlad know that he's got an angel inside of him and not a demon? Did he check the voter registration card?
You know,
I
know, right? And he is not behaving normal right now. This is crazy. He hasn't brought up demons or anything like that this entire time. I think he's got a demon in him that's just trying to lead people astray.
I think you might be right. Iron Charioteer, I think war is bad. I don't support the political organization of Israel or the political power in charge of Gaza. I'm not in favor of governments. Governments exist to protect their people. I understand that the Israeli government thinks they're doing that, but the way they're doing that has some issues for me. I support the people. I care about the people on both sides. I have one of my friends from Aaron's show is in Israel and has had to go into hiding over this conflict. It's not good. There's better ways to settle differences than blowing up the people who aren't actually hurting your people. No. I don't support either side.
Yeah, I support whatever will lead to the least amount of harm done to all the people, just in general. I don't know what that is or what that looks like, but we need a peaceful solution here, and we need it very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a dog in the race as far as the religion of the thing. I don't believe in either one, and that's fundamentally what both of them are trying to do, is be like, my religion is right, or my religion is right, or whatever. And it's fucking over the people. Like, there are a lot of people of Islamic descent who are still believers in Islam inside Israel. And there are also people who are Jewish inside the Palestinian territories. And it's
not simple. Like, Yeah, and it's like you got one right wing fascist government that took over, and then they're attacking another right wing fascist government, and it's a mess. I don't. It's hard to even see. The the good guys are the people that are suffering from this. The bad guys seem to be the powerful people on either side, but that's not really a position that you can like push too far.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's we've been going a little while, so let's give Vlad one more chance to make a point, and then we'll wrap things up, shall we?
All right.
Also, as you do it to the glory of God, it gives God glory. The fifth reason that you may say we shouldn't celebrate Christmas is that the world celebrates Christmas, which makes some Christians hesitant.
Oh, it's too popular.
Now it's too popular. Okay. Wasn't
Hipster
popular
Christmas.
enough a second ago, but
I can't celebrate Christmas. It's too mainstream.
yeah, it's a punk rock thing. I liked Christmas before it made the Enema of the State album, and then I didn't like them anymore.
Christmas sold out to Big Santa.
That's yeah.
Oh, but also the point, the world celebrates Christmas.
Yeah.
No? I mean, in the United States, in the Christian countries, sure, fine, probably most of them. There may be some Eastern Orthodox regions and the Jehovah's Witnesses and a few others who don't do Christmas. But, I'm fine with saying, the 1.8 billion humans on Earth that identifies Christian celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
Great.
There's a lot of people on Earth that celebrate Christmas, but there's a lot that don't too. So,
Yeah. I'll even give him, 1 billion atheists who celebrate a secular Christmas. That's still less than half of the 8 billion humans on Earth.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, goodness.
That's pretty funny.
Now, it's true that for many in the world, Christmas is an excuse to get drunk, to get a party, to get something, give a little, leave work, get out of school, spend money, overeat, and do all of these things. For us as Christians,
do we really need an excuse for any of those, though?
Yeah, I just do that stuff anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm half Irish, so for me, any excuse for a party is a good reason for a party. But
yes.
You don't actually even need the excuse.
No, it's Tuesday night.
Oh boy.
It's an excuse to exalt Jesus in the face of the world that is at least tuned to his name. When I walk in the mall around this time right now that I'm recording this video, and I hear Christian Christmas carols, and I hear about Jesus's glory, I hear songs about him, Mary, did you know, fall on your knees. And I mean, even as I speak about it, I get goosebumps. It gives me this, really good feeling that at least one time in the year, our culture gets a chance to hear about the beautiful name of Jesus. And so, yes, it could make me hesitant that the world is using it to, market and to sell stuff, and people are using it.
Now that is the thing I was expecting any of these apologists to get to. We shouldn't celebrate Christmas because it's no longer about Christ. It's been overtaken by the blasphemy of capitalism.
Right.
And yet none of them did. That's very strange.
Well, and he's making the opposite argument. He's like, well, at least they're singing carols and stuff while they're making everybody buy all the stuff for all the secular whatever. But at least they hear some Jesus songs, so right. Witness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jesus had very, very socialistic ideas, but we can't talk about that because we need to keep that capitalistic element, because I, Pastor Vlad, need people to keep sending me money so I can, be rich.
Model. Yeah.
Yeah. We can't be against capitalism. It's just, oh my goodness. Oh, well. It's, well, I mean, at least not every Christian is against Christmas. That's something, I suppose. Like,
right.
We heard a few reasons why Christmas shouldn't be invalid. Why, Yeah, and Wormford's got a good point too. Nobody slandered Santa. Not one of them was like, "Oh, well, Santa is more important than Jesus, so we can't have that." That was a thing that we used to hear back in the day a lot.
I didn't hear
Nobody's
anybody.
talking about it.
Nobody rearranged the letters in Santa to be like, "Look, it's Satan." You know, nobody did that.
Yeah.
it was-
I've seen that a couple of times this year. I'm like, fucking seriously, crack open a book, dude. Like,
Change
there's
the letters for claws to CLAW. You know, it's
yeah.
Satan claw.
Yeah, I mean, it's an older argument, but it's still wonderfully laughable because like people are, oh well, he wears red. Okay, right, but that's the Coca-Cola company. Before
Yeah.
that was a marketing thing. It wasn't like that according to tradition.
Like white. He wore white, if I'm not mistaken.
And sometimes green, depending on whether you're talking about Saint Nicholas or Father Christmas and regions and so forth. But like, Saint Nicholas of Myra actually lived. We have much better evidence for him than Jesus, anyway. And he did some cool miracles. Every one of his miracles was much bigger than Jesus's, so whatever. Maybe we should be, Nicholists. Maybe we should be Nityists.
Oh, actually, I'm kind of an idiot. I subscribe to his channel.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a
Same.
idiot.
I actually rang the bell because Nitty goes live randomly sometimes with no notice, and I want to know when there's a Nitty show.
That's right. Ring the bell because never going to know otherwise.
It's true. Yeah. See, that's what we do. We support the community and things.
That's right.
Good stuff. Speaking of which, I have received word that our friend Jimmy over at Tux TV is going to be live after we wrap. So I have adjusted the stream on my side to auto redirect to there. If you wanna see what he's got going on for Boxing Day, stick around and the stream will take you right over there. If you're on Brentley's side, it's Tux TV. It's easy to find. It's the only one.
Yeah.
Just quick search. You'll get there. Yeah. It'll be fine. Yeah, so Santa. I saw this dude with a whiteboard, and whiteboards are, of course, the highest level of science, as we know from Dr. Tapioca Weasel. Praise the Weasel.
That's awesome.
But he's making the case that like Santa, Saint Nick, Old Nick, ergo Satan. But that doesn't hold up. Like, they started saying Old Nick in England because of Niccolo Machiavelli. The Catholic Church said that he is evil because they didn't like what Machiavelli had to say. And for some reason, I haven't been able to pin it down exactly, but the Church of England started referring to Machiavelli as Old Nick. And then, as is often the case, people heard a term, never learned what the term actually meant, and started repeating it. And then when their kids asked them what it meant, they just made some shit up.
Yep.
But that seems to be where that came from. So,
that's fast.
Yeah,
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, there's nothing to the. I mean, obviously, there's nothing to the Satan thing. It's just a fucking anagram word game scramble the thing, but. Whatever.
Only so many letters, and coincidences are a thing. So there, I solved it.
And we have to completely ignore the clause part. Like, it's Saint Nicholas. Like, what do you do with the clause? Oh well, never mind that. It's it's like the Earth is going around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. First of all, never mind that we made up the unit of measurement miles per hour. Well, it's got a 666 in it, so that's how we know the heliocentric model is of the devil.
There you go. Oh, I was going to say the prince of the power that controls the earth or the air or whatever.
It's the lizard people or what the fuck ever.
Yeah, it's worldly. See, it's worldly because it's 666.
Yeah. Old Nick in England because of Sweeney Todd. Damn it, Sweeney Todd. the demon barber of Fleet Street. Wormfood points out Santa is also Latin for saint. So yeah, he may have just been Santa Nicholas. Or what would he been? The Hellenized name would have been what he went by when he lived, because it was in Turkey, but that was under Greek dominion, right? So it would have been Nikolaus, I guess. It doesn't matter.
Nicholas.
Yeah. Maya's got the right answer. It's always aliens.
Of course. Yeah.
At the end of it, even if it is Yahweh, he's not from here. He's a fucking alien. You know?
That's technically true. Yeah. He's an immigrant from heaven.
Yes. And as we know,
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
That's awesome.
all right, folks. Thanks everybody for joining us. We've had our ups and downs, but I think it's been a trip. It's a few laughs, few giggles, some silly theists.
As always.
Yeah. It's a good time. And thanks for joining, Brentley. It's always a blast. I wish we got to hang out more, schedules being what they are though. But it's always great to spend time with you and make fun of silly things.
Right? Yeah, man, this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is really cool.
Yeah. Good times. All right. Happy Boxing Day, folks. Thanks to everybody for joining us, contributing through the chat on both streams. Once again, if you don't know the other one of us, our various addresses are right in the... This is hard to do. Pointing at both things at once.
Every time.
Yeah.
Backwards.
I just...
Can't do it. That's not going
to... Yeah.
Be a terrible weather person.
I don't even have a green screen. That's not even true, though. I have a green screen right here. I have a reversible green screen, blue screen.
Nice, damn.
I just haven't hung them up because I've got my old gray background from, photography reasons, like every other crazy fucking thing I do.
That's awesome.
Yay. Alrighty. Well, anyway, thanks so much, everybody. Love you guys. Having you folks come out, spend time with you people makes it much more fun than just sitting in front of a camera and recording. So I appreciate the hell out of it.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah. And as always, remember, you don't have to pretend that your religion is both pagan and not pagan, and you can celebrate it, and you shouldn't, and it's a sin, and there's devils, but there's not, because we liberated the holiday, because you are better than religion.